of the City Council, successor agency of the Redevelopment Agency, Public Finance Authority, Public Utility Authority, Housing Authority, the Paris Joint Powers Authority, and the Paris Community Economic Development Corporation of the City of Paris. This Tuesday, March 14th, 2023. The call time is 6:30 p.m. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Councilmember Rogers?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Nava?
Here.
Councilmember Corona?
Present.
Councilmember Rabb?
Here.
Mayor Vargas?
I'm here, thank you. Item 3 is our invocation, which will be led by Chaplain Doug Brockmere from the Calvary Chapel, Paris Valley. If you remain standing, and for item 4, which will be our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Councilwoman Rogers. Please stand and join us. The councilman, oh, there he is.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the council for having me to come out and pray with you guys tonight. Father, as we come before you tonight, Lord, we just thank you, praise you for the opportunity to serve the people of this city. Lord, it's a privilege and a blessing to be able to do so. And I pray, Lord, that all the things that are done here tonight, Father, would just be of one mind, one body, and one spirit here, Lord. And I thank you for the opportunity to serve the people of this great city, for each and every one of us. And Lord, may you bless us with your presence here tonight. I ask, God, that you would give great godly wisdom in the decisions that are made, and that you would just bless this council and this time tonight. And it's in Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Please join me as we salute our great flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Item 5 is a report on closed session items. Mr. Koo.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council met in closed session on the closed session items listed on the agenda. Information was provided, deliberation occurred, and direction was provided, but no reportable action was taken.
Thank you. Item 6 is presentation and announcements. We have none. Item 7 is our Youth Advisory Committee communications, which will be given by Alexa Flores, the president of our Youth Advisory Committee.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, and City staff. Good evening. Hello, my name is Alexa Flores. It is a pleasure for me to hold the position of President for YAC. I will be providing you with an update on the most recent and forthcoming YAC events. To start, on March 3rd, YAC hosted a successful open mic. The event was held at the Statler Youth Center and drew in a diverse group of youth to the community. Open mic began at 7 p.m. and lasted for 2 hours. With performers taking turns showcasing their talents, the event featured a wide range of artistic expression, including and mostly musical performances. Each performer was given 5 minutes, and the audience was captivated by the variety of talents on display. Furthermore, YAC had planned a park cleanup at Copper Creek for March 11th. Unfortunately, the event had to be canceled due to severe weather conditions. Despite the cancellation, YAC remains committed to our mission of promoting environmental conservation and awareness. Our next park cleanup is scheduled for April 15th at Skydive Park. Moving forward, YAC has recently announced our recruitment period is now open, and applications are available on the city's website. YAC is looking for teens between the ages 11 and 17 who are interested in civic engagement and community involvement. Being a member of YAC is an excellent opportunity to develop leadership skills, learn about local government, and making a positive impact in the community. It is also a great way to meet new people and form connections with other youth who are passionate about making a difference. The application deadline is July 21st at 7 p.m., and applications must be turned in at the Statler Youth Center at 120 North Paris Boulevard. The selection process will take place over the following weeks, and those chosen to serve on YAC will be notified via mail. If you or someone you know is interested in applying to be part of YAC, visit our city's website and download an application. Apart from the updates, YAC would like to bring attention to National Developmental Disability Awareness Month. DDAM serves as a reminder of the importance of providing inclusion, acceptance, and an understanding of people with developmental disabilities. By working together, we can create a more inclusive society that recognizes the unique abilities and contributions of individuals with disabilities. Finally, YSC would like to remind everyone to please follow us on social media at Paris YSC for more updates and upcoming events. For more information on YSC or any events discussed today, feel free to dial the Statler Youth Center. YSC would like to remind everyone to remain safe and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexa. Item 8 is our public comments. This is the time when any member of the public may bring a matter to the attention of the mayor or the city council that is within our jurisdiction and that is not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Greg Carter.
Come on up to the podium, sir. You got 3 minutes.
I just want to say I've been a resident of Paris for about 20 years now, and I see all the new construction going up. I see a lot of commercial buildings, see a lot more traffic, but I don't see a lot of activities and things for the residents. For example, a bowling alley maybe, putting up a new movie theater, maybe some fine dining restaurants. I see all of these fast food joints, but I see nothing that you can probably sit down with your family and have a nice, excellent meal. I don't see that. So my question is, also in addition to that, a nice clothing shopping mall. I see a mini mall. And my question is, are there any plans to bring those type of buildings, infrastructures here to the city of Paris? That's my question. And I'm hoping you guys can provide me with an answer before the end of the night. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Carter.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Ignacio Valdivia.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Council. My name is Ignacio Valdivia. I'm the president of the Paris Valley Chamber of Commerce, and I'm delighted to provide you with an update on our recent activities and upcoming events. Last month, we hosted an outstanding mixer at our True Care Health Center, where we welcome new faces into our community. We appreciated the mayor for joining us and representing our great city. And in February, we celebrated the grand opening of 4 new businesses in our community. This included Altura Credit Union, which we're thrilled to welcome as our first credit union in town. Additionally, we welcome Blue Oasis Car Wash, Boulevard Barber Studio, and Paris Flowers, the latter of which offers fantastic flower arrangements. Remember to shop local. Looking ahead, we have several exciting events on our calendar. On March 17th, we'll be hosting our Morning Stir, which stands for Socialize, Talk, Interact, and Remember, at 8 a.m. at our chamber office. On March 23rd, Innovative Mortgage Group will host our networking mixer at their office located at 1688 North Paris Boulevard, Suite H2, starting at 5:30 p.m. We also have a ribbon-cutting ceremony planned for March 28th to welcome Alternative Twist Radio as our new member to our chamber. For further details on these and other upcoming events, please visit our chamber webpage at parischamber.net. We encourage the council and members of the public to attend our events, whether they own a business or want to be more involved in our community. We are always eager to welcome new faces and work together to uplift and energize our city. Thank you for your attention. And the gentleman before had great points, and I know the city works hard on trying to bring new development to our city, and I applaud for the new developments that have been coming in. So thank you, and we'll hopefully see you at our next event. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is all.
Anybody else at this time in the audience wishing to speak on any item not on the agenda? All righty. Mr. Carter, are you still here? I'm going to pass down my business card from staff would you please contact my office? Come on up, and I'd love to have a one-on-one meeting with you to discuss your question. Okay, item 9 is approval of the minutes. 9A is consideration to approve the minutes of the regular joint meeting held on February 28, 2023 of the City Council and all the other agencies as listed in our agenda. There are no comments or questions from council. I entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Councilman Rabb. Please call the vote.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. Item 10 is our consent calendar. Consent calendar items are normally enacted in one motion. The mayor or city council may remove a consent calendar item for separate action. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any requests to speak on this, Madam Clerk?
No, sir.
Anybody wishing to speak on our consent calendar? Council, anybody have any comments or questions, anything they want to pull? I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Councilman Rabb. Please call a vote.
Five zero, motion approved.
Thank you. Item 11 is our public hearings. 10A is consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order and adopt the first reading of ordinance number next in order regarding specific plan amendment SPA 21-05218, tentative partial map TPM 38292, development plan review DPR 21-00013, conditional use permit CUP 21-05216, and development agreement DA 22-05297, a 950,224 square foot industrial facility and commercial development located on the southerly side of Ramona Expressway between Nevada Road and Webster Avenue. And this is going to be introduced by Director of Development Services, Mr. Kenneth Fung.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. This item will be presented by our Planning Manager, Patricia Brenes.
Thank you, Kenneth. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council members, City staff. Patricia Brenes, Planning Manager. As you stated, Honorable Mayor, the project before you tonight is a specific plan amendment, tentative parcel map, conditional use permit, development agreement, and development plan review to facilitate the construction of an industrial facility with a commercial complex. The Planning Commission considered this project on February 15, 2023, and by a vote of 3-1, recommended approval of this project. The project site is located on, the project site consists of 49.17 acres and is located on the southerly side of Ramona Expressway between Webster Avenue and Nevada Road. It's also located within the Perris Valley Commerce Center specific plan. It is surrounded by vacant commercially zoned property to the west across Nevada Road, industrially zoned property to the east across Webster Avenue, Valverde High School and Academy to the south, and approved entitled commercial development to the north across Ramona Expressway. The project proposes a specific plan amendment to rezone 42.22 acres of the site from business park office and commercial zones to light industrial zone, and to remove a paper street from the circulation plan. In the specific plan, 6.95 acres will remain commercial. The project consists of 37.2521 acres, 37,215 square foot of commercial center on the 6.95 acres. The commercial component will be fronting onto Ramona Expressway. The applicant has indicated that they've been in negotiations with restaurants and other commercial businesses to develop the site. As a matter of information, staff processed a preliminary review application for a Starbucks to develop on one of the parcels on the commercial component of the site. The proposed parcel to the rear is proposed to be developed with an industrial building that's 950,224 square feet. The industrial development proposes a specific truck access along Nevada Road. The two most notably driveways are restricted for right-in, left-out movements only. The two southerly driveways along Nevada Road and Webster Avenue are intended only for passenger vehicles. The applicant has been working with Valverde High School representatives, and as a result, is proposing a masonry wall on the southerly side of the site, and will correct a drainage issue at the school site. Truck circulation has also been worked out with the school, and as a result of that, the trucks will access the freeway from Nevada Road only, and this will avoid entering the Morgan Street and Morgan Avenue and Webster Avenue, where kids are dropped off and picked up from the school. As a result, truck traffic will be limited to the 215 Placentia interchange, where trucks will access the site from Placentia to Frontage Road, Nevada Road, and to the site. No trucks will be accessed on Ramon Expressway. The project also involves a development agreement which outlines the following community benefits. Construction of a Welcome to Paris monument sign on the median along Ramon Expressway, a contribution of $200,000 to the Valverde High School Career and Technical Education Program, contribution of $776,634 for the Paris Downtown Skill Training and Job Placement Center and other city purposes, a contribution of $27,000 to the Valverde Academy to fund the garden modernization project, and at least one retail business is required to be in operation and open to the public prior to release and occupancy of the industrial building. And in addition, the community benefit includes a $1.9 million regional storm drain improvement as part of the project. These are the elevations of the industrial development, which comply with the design guidelines of the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan. And these are the renderings, conceptual renderings of the commercial development that will be fronting along Ramon Expressway. With regard to CEQA, an environmental impact report was prepared for this project. A scoping meeting was conducted last year for the EIR. The applicant also did a presentation to the Chamber of Commerce and conducted community outreach by sending comment cards, having a community meeting, and sending additional notification to the community regarding the project. An environmental impact report, as I stated, was completed in compliance with CEQA for this project. During the comment period, staff received a letter from the South Coast Air Quality Management District, and the comments raised on that letter didn't include any additional environmental issues that haven't already been addressed in the EIR. Impacts have generally been reduced to less than significant or to below the level of significance with the implementation of mitigation measures, except for impacts identified as significant and unavoidable related to air quality, cumulative greenhouse gas emissions, and transportation, specifically vehicles miles traveled. Therefore, adoption of a statement of overriding consideration would be required in order to approve the project. Included in your packet are letters of support from the Valverde High School and Academy, Valverde School District, Paris Valley Chamber of Commerce, Alan Lynch, representing Starbucks, Marwan Alabasi of Alabasi Construction and Engineering, comment cards signed by 112 Paris residents, and the 8 comment letters that we received after the preparation of the staff report. With that, given the improvement proposed with the project, the community outreach conducted by the applicant, efforts made to address the school's concerns, and concerns raised by the community and the benefits that are being proposed for the community, the Planning Commission recommends adoption of the resolution to certify the final EIR, the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, findings of fact, and the statement of overriding consideration related to the project, adopt resolution to approve the tentative parcel map, conditional use permit, development plan review, to facilitate the construction of the project, and introduce the first reading of ordinance approving development agreement and the specific plan amendment to change the land use designation and to remove the paper street. And that concludes staff presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions. The applicant is also here and has a presentation for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. We're going to go ahead and hear from the applicant before we start addressing questions.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to clarify, the 8 comments letters that were received after the staff report was posted was provided to council pursuant to a memorandum placed on the dais. Just want to clarify that for the record.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Vargas, council members. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. My name is Dan Sachs. I'm with DECA, the project sponsor. Patricia, thanks for that overview, and thanks to the rest of staff for your fantastic help throughout this process. You know, I got into development because I come from a family that actually cares about urban planning. My mom is the kind of person who would come to council meetings like this and voice her concerns on projects. And don't worry, she's not here tonight, but rest assured, I have to answer to my mother on all my projects. But what I learned was that a good project lives in service to a community, and that you have to listen to the community to understand what they really want and need. And so on this project, we consulted early and often with our stakeholders. We talked to Val Verde, we talked to residents at Villages of Avalon, the Chamber of Commerce, and city staff. And we got a ton of input, which caused us to change the project significantly and for the better. So first I want to tell you what we learned, and then I want to go through how the project responds to it. Most importantly, we learned from everyone that there's not enough retail in North Paris and that we had to make it happen. We couldn't just put it in a site plan, we needed to make it a reality. Second, we learned that economic development and jobs are needed, including union construction jobs. We learned that the area floods and needs drainage, that roads are underdeveloped here and congested, that Val Verde High School, a key stakeholder, liked the retail, had numerous comments on project design, and wanted help building a new vocational training center. And finally, that the city wanted a funding partner on the job center. Now I want to go through how the project responded to each of these in turn. The retail. Given how important this was to everyone, we spent a lot of time on it. And we're pleased to share that we have commitments from top retailers for 6 of the 7 pads in the project, which you can see here. We have signed contracts with them, and they've put down deposits. Starbucks has even already submitted its application to planning. And you're going to hear from these companies tonight. Also, the development agreement we have makes a contractual commitment to getting the retail open before we open the industrial. So this is a real project. It's actually ready to go. Now I want to run quickly through how this project will create a sense of place in North Paris. So first, this is what the site looks like today as you're coming off the freeway. And this is what it'll look like when it's complete. It's beautiful and alive. This is the site a little further down at the corner of Nevada and Ramona. And here it is complete. It's now safe, walkable, and has a true sense of place. And then the retail will bring this area to life. North Paris will finally have more space for people to eat, gather, and connect, including outdoor space at the restaurants. Now, as you may know, stormwater from the 215 is not captured in storm drains right now and simply floods over Nevada, especially when it's raining like it is right now or over the last few weeks. And so we worked with the city engineer to design solutions. To give you a sense of this, it includes a storm drain as tall as a person and an overflow channel as wide as a road, each is half a mile long. And so in total, we're actually making $4.5 million of investment in this infrastructure, and it advances the city's long-term plan, master plan for stormwater management. Now, road improvements. We learned that Ramona, Nevada, and Webster each need major upgrades. And so we're making an additional $2.5 million investment in the road improvements. And so this includes widening Ramona from 2 lanes to 3 lanes on each side, which should reduce traffic congestion. And this is important, or is an important point that we heard from residents of Villages of Avalon and others that is a key issue in this area. And additionally, we're adding traffic lights at Nevada and then midway down Ramona between Webster and Nevada. We're adding a landscape median on Ramona. We're adding walking and bike trails on all 3 roads around the property. Beautiful landscaping, both on Ramona and on the other roads. And then we're adding a Welcome to Paris sign in the median and a Paris Valley Commerce Center sign, monument signs that should create a sense of arrival as you come into North Paris. Now, as mentioned, the city and community made it clear that economic development and job creation are important too. And so the project will create 1,000 permanent jobs between the industrial and the retail and 1,400 construction jobs. And these will be union construction jobs. We have project labor agreements signed with the laborers, the carpenters, the ironworkers, and the plumbers. And we have an economic impact study that says that the city will receive an additional $59 million in revenue. And additionally, there's economic impact from the jobs and the retail activity on top of that. Valverde. We met with Valverde early and often. In multiple meetings with Principal Dedeaux, district officials, teachers, and parents, we got clear feedback and adjusted the project design in multiple key ways. They wanted a landscaped sound wall for the whole length of the property boundary. They asked for traffic calming measures at Nevada and Morgan. And they also asked that truck access only be provided on Nevada, not on Webster. So now trucks will access the site via the new Placentia interchange. They won't go on Ramona, and they won't go on Webster. Also, they're really excited about the retail, since right now it's a food desert, and having amenities nearby is going to be great for teachers and students. Last, we're really excited to be providing the school nearly $250,000 to convert a defunct classroom into a construction skills training program, which will teach students the skills needed to get union apprenticeships and start lifelong careers. Finally, it's also a privilege to be filling the funding gap for the construction of the Downtown Skills Training and Job Placement Center. We admire the work you, council, and staff have done to make this a reality. So after all this consultation, we've been gratified to see enthusiasm and support from the community. One thing we did is we sent a mailer out to residents asking for their feedback. It contained information about the project and a response card. And we received 118 responses, 115 in support. You can see from this map that they live throughout Paris, but especially with a concentration in North Paris. And finally, we received feedback from letters of support from other stakeholders, including Valverde School, Planning Commission, Chamber of Commerce, and each of the retailers. You have those letters in your packet, and you'll be hearing from many of them tonight. And if you'll permit me to toot my own horn for a sec, I'd like to highlight Chair Hammond's feedback, which you see here on the screen. So I've addressed how on its own I believe this project transforms North Paris, but I also believe it'll catalyze more development throughout the Ramona corridor, including and especially across the street. Once the improvements and retail are completed, other retailers are bound to follow, and the project benefits will multiply. So we worked hard to craft a project we think the community will appreciate, and we're very excited about it. On behalf of our whole team, which is here to answer any questions you may have, thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Before we go ahead and have a seat, I'm going to open up the public hearing before we let the council start addressing everybody. Okay, at this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing, 6:59 p.m. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Elias Fernandez.
After this one.
Hi. I'm here today in hopes to bring more ironworking union jobs to Paris. I'm a fourth period apprentice, and I have a family of 3, married. I As an iron worker, I find myself traveling quite a lot. I've been to Mojave Desert, to Santa Monica, and those drives back home could take anywhere up to 3 hours or more. And with jobs here in Paris, I would get more time with my family, and I would enjoy that. I don't got much to say, but that's it.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you
Yes.
call the next three? So we're going to call three at a time. If the first person comes up to the podium, the other two stand to the side so we can expedite the process.
Patrick Avila, John Sisley, I'm sorry, and Stacy Dudukes. I'm sorry.
Good afternoon. I'm a fourth period apprentice iron worker, and all the work is in LA. I live right here. I've lived here my whole life, and I was given the opportunity twice to work on a job near home. I helped build the Kaiser in Menifee and the Kaiser in Moreno Valley, and it felt good to make a difference. And I pass by these places every day. And it feels good to tell my girlfriend, my family, they all live here. And it feels good to gloat a little bit and say, look at what I built, and make a difference in my community. I would like to, if given the opportunity, I'd like to make an impact on my community with more jobs nearby home. There's a lot of cranes nearby, and it would feel good if it was not 2 hours for a change. Iron workers, we like to do our job correctly and safely, and if given the chance, we would like to show you guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's John Sisley. I'm a delegate to the Building Trades Commission, State of California. I'm a delegate to the Central Labor Council, Inland Empire, and I represent all the union plumbers, pipe fitters, and refrigeration that live in the city of Paris. We support the Ramona Gateway Commerce Center. We've all seen the building alongside the freeway. We've all seen the warehouses and the traffic. I can't tell you that all that building has been responsible. I can't tell you that all those wages went back to the community. I can tell you that this one will. I can tell you that they've hired a solid general contractor who will hire locally and will hire the skilled and trained workforce of the area to be on this job. It matters to us and it matters to the community at large when developers support us like this. And we would hope that you would support this project also. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Stacy Dedeaux, and I'm the proud principal of both Valverde High School and Valverde Academy. I come to you this evening to speak out in support of this project. I can tell you that over the last 2 years, I've met with DECA representatives several times. They've met with all of my stakeholders, my staff, my parents. They gave very detailed presentations. And most importantly, they've taken into consideration my feedback in making sure that in no way would my school or my student, my community, be negatively impacted. And I've been very, very happy with the collaboration that we've had. I'd also like to say that we're extremely happy that they will be bringing some road improvements around my school. We do have a severe flooding issue along Nevada that I'm very excited about being improved so that my students and families can get to school a little bit easier. I'm also super excited about the partnership that we have developed. They have agreed to fund a major project on my site that would build out a current construction classroom we have, but just add to it so that we can bring some career technical education skills to our students by way of a new carpentry program, construction program. We'd absolutely love to partner with Southwest Regional Council of Carpenters and have some of our students exit our program and perhaps enter right into the union. That would be great.
They've also worked in close partnership with our facilities director, Stacy Strotterman, and we've gone through in quite some detail and really just mapped out how we can better improve traffic easement to make sure that it's a little safer for my students and my families that are getting to and from my school. So I'm really excited about all of those improvements. They've even taken into consideration landscape considerations. I want to make sure that we're not creating areas for students to hide. And so down to the last little detail, they've walked my site, they've gone into classrooms, they've looked at the view that my students will get, and they've taken into considerations and all of our suggestions just to make sure that our school's not going to be negatively impacted. So I really appreciate that. So overall, I'm really grateful. I'm excited about this partnership, and I hope that you vote yes on this project this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adele.
Marwan Alabasi, Salvador Mora Jr., Alan Robertson,
Mr. Alabasi, go ahead, sir.
Honorable Mayor, council members, city staff, good evening. My name is Marwan Alabasi. I live in Riverside, but I spend most of my time in Paris. Probably a year ago, I would have spoke against this project. But thanks to the letters that DECA sent, they did have an outreach. When I got that letter, I immediately reached out to them to understand the project. My first impression was, no, another gas station. I own the one in Caddy Corner, so I don't want to see another one. But really, after I saw what they've done, and I became part of the project. So I'm the one who was entered into an agreement to do the Shell station, which initially they were talking to Shell directly. And being from this area, I said, no, we don't want another corporation doing business here. So I will be branding it Shell, but it will be Alabasi family running the business. It'll be our business. We have our development construction company in the shopping center, Caddy Corner. I'm sure most of you know that. And we employ over 400 employees, mostly from the Paris and Riverside area. We're really proud to be here and working in the city. We're signatory with my friends here. I see Carpenter and labor unions. We're signatory with them, and they actually got us quite a bit of work in the city, and our employees do appreciate that. And to the gentleman that sits in the back and was talking about restaurant, we have another project that we're not talking about now. We actually bring in a hotel and 2 restaurants, steakhouse, another restaurant. So they're coming to Paris. And actually, when I saw the development that these folks are doing, I really start thinking of doing more. So we have like 5 projects coming in front of you, hopefully, in the next year or so. So we're proud to be in Paris. We're supporting this project. It's really well designed. They're excited about it, so I hope it goes through. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Can you call the next 2 up, Madam Clerk?
the ones that are next.
Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is
Hold on, sir.
Salvador Mora.
Salvador, hold
Yes,
on.
sir.
Yes.
All the next 2
Mora,
up, so they're.
And then Alan Robertson. Salvador Mora and then Alan Robertson.
Okay, sir, come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for your time. My name is Salvador Mora Jr. I am a 7th period apprentice, a resident of Paris, and a United States Marine Corps veteran. I'm very blessed to be a part of an organization who encourages us to participate and be a part of things such like this. Working close to home, as opposed to driving to Los Angeles or the high desert or South Orange County, is an incredible opportunity. It's not just saving a few hours on the road or some, miles in gas, but we talk about things like quality of life and mental health and things as such. I'm a father of 3, my daughter and son, and my youngest daughter as well. It'd be such an honor to be a part of a project that's before us, to be able to share that with them and say that I had a firsthand involvement in that. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Can we call the next 3 up?
Alan Robertson.
Alan, are you here? Next.
Jeff Hopkins. Alan Lynch.
Come on up.
Hugo Gasper.
All right, we got the next 3. Thank you.
It's Jeff Hopkins. Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Jeff Hopkins. I'm actually with the Sonic Drive-In Development Group. We are a Sonic franchisee for Riverside, San Bernardino County. We obviously develop, operate, manage, and own Sonic Drive-Ins. We've been looking in Paris for a couple years now, have not found the right opportunity, the right site for Sonic. We've been patient because this is, as we all know, there's not a Sonic within the city of Paris. We all think the Sonic will do very, very well here, will be a great addition to the community. But we've been patient and we've been looking for the right opportunity. We feel this is the right opportunity. This is well designed, well thought of, well developed. It's the right location for us. I think if you drop, as we all know, kind of the retail hub is probably Nuevo in Paris Boulevard, but there's not opportunities there. So we had to find the next best site, and we think this is the next best site. We're very excited for this opportunity. We're very excited for Sonic to be a part of the city, part of the community, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have with regards to Sonic operations or any questions you might have. So thank you for your support, and we're looking forward to Sonic coming here soon. Thank you.
Just real quick, can you clarify, do you have a letter of interest or do you have a PSA on file?
Sorry, we should have clarified that. We actually are in a purchase sale agreement with DECA, so we are moving forward. We have early design with our plans. We've not gone into planning yet, but we will be here shortly. But we are full purchase sale agreement. We are fully committed, and we are moving forward.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Next. You can applaud for him.
Yeah, I was applauding, but nobody wanted to. Hi, my name is Hugo Gaspar. I've been an iron worker for the 23 years, and all my life I have worked outside Paris. I always worked in L.A., Indio, Vegas, San Diego, but I never had the chance to work in my city of Paris. I've been living here for the last 20 years, and it'll be nice for us to have this kind of work and to stay home with our families, like everybody has said, so we don't have to spend too much time driving or gas expenses right now, how gas is. So it'd be nice to work on this site, Ramona Gateway.
What local number are you for the?
416.
416, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, and staff. My name is Alan Lynch. I am president of LGI Real Estate Group. Company's been around for about 32 years. We've developed several million square feet of retail throughout the western U.S. And I'm here today as a proponent for the project because we are going to be developing a Starbucks state-of-the-art cafe with drive-through on one of the parcels in the retail component. We are in contract. We have an agreement with Starbucks to be here. And as staff knows, we have already gone through the preliminary review process. We've already made our submittal, received comments, and we received favorable comments back on our site plan. So we're excited about that. As most of you know, Starbucks strives to be that third place in a community. It's not home, it's not work or school, but a place where people can go and share community. The proximity to the freeway here, the proximity to schools, the proximity to a significant workforce, including what will come from this project, makes this an outstanding location for Starbucks. As you know, they operate a store just east of here that has been very successful. The care, thought, and commitment to quality design is also important to Starbucks, and that's something that we have found very attractive about this project, as well as the chance to have great co-tenancy, as you're hearing from some of the other people who are speaking tonight, as well as the site plan that you have in front of you. DECA is responsible for all of the site preparation, all of the off-sites. Makes it sort of easy for us. We can come in and build our building. We are hoping to get going later this year or potentially early next year, but we will be ready to go when DECA provides that pad and the off-site. So we'd start tomorrow if we could. We're looking forward to being part of a strong retail project. We are also the developer of an Aldi and Starbucks project just north of here in Moreno Valley. So we're very committed to this area. We see it as an excellent opportunity to be part of a growing community. So we look forward to being here, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you. Vente 3 Pump White Mocha. Alan? Yes, sir. Vente 3 Pump White Mocha. You call the next three, please.
Alex Ruelas Jr., Ignacio Valdivia, and George Guardado.
I think they called Alex first.
Hello and good evening. My name is Alex Relas. I lived in the city of Paris for over 16 years now. I am a homeowner and I have raised my 4 children here in Paris. I have coached youth sports and I am an active member in the community. I am a superintendent for a signatory union company, UR Steel. I employ a large number of union ironworkers who are residents here of Paris. The ability to send my guys to work in their home city will allow for us to earn and spend our money in the city of Paris. We pay taxes in the city of Paris, we shop in the city of Paris, and we contribute to the youth of the city of Paris. I have been a local union member of Local 416 Ironworkers for over 20 years. I am a proud union brother, and being part of a union has allowed me to raise my family and have pride in my work. The city of Paris is growing rapidly and becoming a central hub for transportation and goods. By using union ironworkers for these projects, the city of Paris will know that the job is getting done right. All California codes will be met, and the work will be completed by skilled, trained craftsmen who go through a 4-year apprenticeship program. The work will also be meaningful because the guys are building for their families and their friends of the community. It would be an honor to help build Paris. The pride that union ironworkers have for the city of Paris and their community will show in their work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. My name is Ignacio Valdivia. I'm the president of the Paris Valley Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about your Ramona Gateway project. First, I would like to express my gratitude to the Ramona Gateway project team for their informative presentation during our board meeting on January 17. We were excited about the project's improvements that will make North Paris safer, such as adding a stoplight on Nevada, widening both sides of Ramona, and adding a walk path around the entire project. Additionally, we are thrilled that the project is not only beneficial to the community, but also to the economy. With 1,400 construction jobs and nearly 1,000 permanent jobs, the project is expected to generate $600 million in taxes, fees, and economic impact to the city of Paris over the next 30 years. In addition, the Chamber is delighted that this development will improve the safety of the students who attend Val Verde High and provide them access to new amenities. The Ramona Gateway project team deserves recognition for their transparency and responsiveness to the community's concerns. We encourage other companies to follow their example. We appreciate the team's hard work and believe the project will set a standard for future development in this area. Therefore, we encourage you to support this project. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Are there more after this one? Can you call out 3 more?
Hello.
Hold
my
on,
name
hold
is
on, sir. Hold on, sir.
Sorry.
Call the next 3.
Juan Munoz, Jose Garcia, Brett Del Valle.
Okay, sir, go ahead.
Hello. My name is George Guardado. I've been here for over 30 years now, and I watched Paris grow from a little small town. I've played basketball over here at Bob Glass, and, you know, I've been everywhere. I'm a union ironworker, Local 416. And, you know, I've traveled everywhere, you know, from LA, Orange County, San Diego, and, you know, and I like CMI, which used to be Paris Annex High School. I've been there as well, too.
Maybe some have been there, maybe not. But I'm a local resident, and I would like to go ahead and see more work here done than be LA, Orange County, anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Juan Munoz. I am a representative with the Carpenters, and I, like Mr. Alabasi, live in Riverside, but spend my money here and work here in Paris. If you guys know Barra Azul, I think they know me by name there. So I got an open tab all the time. Just kidding. Just kidding.
I'm sorry, you got an open tab?
Open tab.
Thank you for that.
No.
Juan Munoz?
No.
Thank you, sir. Soy mexicano también, Juan. Thank you.
All right. Me too. I think my card's
It's too late, bro.
I think the benefits for labor are obvious, especially for all labor out here. My carpenter brothers and sisters are out here behind me because it benefits us, obviously. This job was put through the rigors of your planning commission, which, if you guys know, every detail was right there. The color scheme, the trees, the solar, the veneer, everything, everything. It passed. It passed because this project fits the bill of that property there. I've been driving this area 21 years, 22 years, and it's been barren like that. And we need something like that for that area. It'll revitalize the area and maybe bring more retail, maybe a high-end steakhouse between there and the next street over. I can't think of the name, excuse me. But obviously, one thing I can say is that when you bring suits and boots together, a good job's about to happen. And I hope you guys let it go forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jose Garcia, and I'm a proud member of the Laborers International Union of North America. I've been here a long time, and it's very rare that you find a gem like this. This project hits all the right check marks. This developer's gone on and beyond what he needs to do to build in this city. I'm so proud of it, and the first speaker should have said everything. And you wonder why we come up here and speak about spending time with our family. That first speaker, those two little ones, came up with him because they're spending time with their daddy. They don't care where it's at. It's not at Chuck E. Cheese. They don't even know where they're at. But they're here spending time with their daddy. And those are valuable things that us construction workers have to put aside when we have to drive to other cities, to other counties, to other states to work to provide for our families. When we build for everybody, we build schools, we build hospitals. Unfortunately, we build police stations and places to keep the bad people, but we are a part of this community. And you can see and feel the union pride in this house tonight. And let it be known, these were community members before they were union members, or union members and came to this community. But the union is open to this whole community. Our doors are open to train, and I'm so glad to hear of the contribution for the construction school in our city that's going to benefit a lot of people, because not everybody goes to college anymore. And it's very important that we as a community realize and provide opportunities for those that are not wealthy enough to follow into a college or a university. We build America, and we have dedicated our lives to that. So please move this project forward, follow the recommendation of the Planning Commission, and thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you. Do we have more after this, gentleman?
That is all.
Okay, good.
Good evening, council members, Mayor Vargas. My name is Brett Tavallier. I'm a retail developer, working on a couple retail projects here in the city of Paris. I am one of the developers that has one of the commercial properties under contract to develop for a quality restaurant. We're looking forward to this project.
Which is what?
We're trying to put Miguel's in there.
Miguel's,
in the corner.
thank you.
We're looking forward to this project getting approved and looking forward to bringing another quality restaurant into the city of Paris. The other projects we're working on seem to have that same type of quality to go into those projects. So please approve this project so that we can move forward and develop these retail sites.
Excellent. Do you also have a PSA on file or letter?
Yes, we do. We're under contract and we're fully committed.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, last call before I close the public hearing. All right, I'm going to close the public hearing at,
Mr. Mayor?
yes.
Before we close the public hearing, this is an opportunity to give the applicant an opportunity to make any
I
final
don't think
comments.
there's any reason for rebuttals on after all this. Mr. Dan, you need the rebuttal? Okay, we're good. All right. Thank you, Mr. Koo. So we're going to close the public hearing at 7:25. Okay, at this time, I'm going to open up discussion. Council, please use the queue so we can make it easier on me. Guess no one wants, we ready for a motion? I put it in there. I put it in there. Did you? Okay, I have Councilman Corona.
If I could have the applicant, I just have some questions. Is Dan, right? Dan Sachs? Yes. Thank you, Mr. Sachs. If we can go to the screen with the rendering of the shopping center. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so I think the shopping center is top notch. I'm really impressed. I'm not going to speak for everybody in here, but I think most people agree in the area that we definitely need retail, more places to eat at, more options. But when you first drive in to this wonderful shopping center, the first thing I'm going to notice is at the very end is this towering, imposing building in the back, which is the warehouse. Which we're definitely promoting the retail, and without that, I don't even think you have a possibility of doing it. And once again, I can't speak for everybody else. But is there any way to mitigate that view? Can we add some kind of berm or something that's gonna kind of cover up that imposing view that so many people, and especially North Paris, are so used to and just agitated by? Is there anything else that we could do?
So one thing that is there that's not in this rendering is a whole landscape buffer between the retail and the industrial right now. There's a whole row of trees and other landscaping there.
Okay.
And actually, we've taken a bunch of you can actually see in this image, some of the landscaping is actually made transparent because otherwise you don't even see the buildings.
Gotcha.
And I think that's sort of what happened in the back there. It didn't get rendered, but we do have a lot of landscaping back there. And I think we'd also be open to exploring other opportunities and solutions if that is still insufficient.
Okay. Possibly more coloring, like what I'm colorblind personally, but it's not going to be this sea of white, is it? Is it going to be colors in there? Or?
Yeah, the building. I think that's another thing here. The building has variegation in colors on it, and I think the renderer was focused just on the retail here, and so didn't quite capture that.
Okay. So if there's like a massive amount of just blank space, maybe a mural or something.
I actually like the idea of doing a mural on it, and so if that's something you guys want,
Picture of the mayor would be fine. That's good.
Yeah.
We could do kind of a Mount Rushmore and get all you guys on there.
Okay, and then I'm very impressed. Actually, I think this is maybe one of the first projects where the applicant's saying that they are going to be building something before you can even build the warehouse. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Now, which pad is going to be built? Which restaurant? Do we know?
So here, I'll just go to the site plan. I can point it out. So what we've done is, this is the pad between the Miguel's and the Denny's here on this image. So what we're going to do first is build out the whole site, all the site work. Okay. So we do all the grading, utilities, sidewalk, road improvements, et cetera. And then each of the people here that you heard tonight who are in contract will then take over all of their pads and then go build out their individual buildings. And so they're going to move as quickly as we are able to hand it over to them. However, we've reserved the one building that doesn't have a logo on here for ourselves that we will be building out. Right now, it's designed to be a shops building, so it'll be a multi-tenant building. We don't have tenants for it yet, mainly because it's a little early to go and go and market for that kind of building. And so that's the one that we are 100% committed to building ourselves, and then we're relying on all of our development partners to build all the rest of them.
Okay. So if say this got approved today, and then it comes back for the second reading, how long would it take for you to have tractors on the ground to actually have a building up and running, and possibly you have a Starbucks there and Miguel Jr.'s?
So we've done the work ahead of time to have all of our construction drawings ready to submit for permits. That my team might tell me I'm going too fast, but I think we're going to hope to submit them sometime in April. If we're able to get depends how long it takes us to get our permits, but once we have our permits, let's call it midsummer, we'll start construction shortly thereafter. The project takes probably about 12 months to get built. And that's not to do the site work. The site work will be done in a couple months, and then we'll hand it over to our retail partners. And those buildings, again, should probably be about 9 to 12 months. So my guess is sort of towards the end of 2024 is when you'd have sort of a fully built-out project.
Okay. And then the warehouse comes with that afterwards or concurrently?
Concurrently, yeah, pretty much the same time frame.
Okay. Yeah, because, I'm definitely concerned because right across the street, they promised us a Dos Lagos style shopping center, and our city just got bamboozled. Yeah. So I'm definitely glad that you're committed, and that our city is conditioning you to build it out. With the next one I want to talk about, I thought it was very impressive the amount of community outreach that you did. I don't think I've ever seen a warehouse developer do as much community outreach as you have, talking to residents, talking to the schools. With the Val Verde High School, and I'm not sure if maybe Miss Dudo can speak to this, but the program that you're doing is a wonderful program. It's much needed, especially for those students that maybe the traditional school isn't going to be the best. But after the money has been depleted, how are we going to continue the program?
So I can't totally speak to the long-term funding of the program, and if Stacy's still here, I think she may have stepped out.
Okay.
We have another representative, Mr.
Here he comes.
Then I'll hand
over.
over.
Okay. Well, feel free to stay here because I got more questions for you.
Okay, yeah.
But maybe he could answer.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Doug Henderson. I'm the Director of STEAM and Career Pathways for Val Verde Unified. So one of the things I'm most excited about this is we have a pathway for construction at Rancho Verde High School, in which we partner with the Carpenters Union. One of the things that we decided we need to do, and all of our talks with them, is we need another one. So we're actually going to work with Jeffrey and Mike and have them come out and design a place for us to be able to have another training center. So we'll have two high schools, and the Carpenters Union is going to help us design that. They don't know about it yet, but it's going to happen. So, so they're going to help us design it. I have all the money on this district level for CTIG to pay for equipment, to pay for ongoing expenses. What I don't have, and this is where this partnership comes in, I don't have the money to do facilities and upgrades. So capital outlay where I have to redo a building, that's where I needed help. I can buy all the equipment all day. So ongoing support, plenty of money with all of our CTIG grants, Perkins grants, federal, state, and grant money. So this will be ongoing for the one at Rancho has been going for over 27 years. So we'll just keep it going right along with that one.
Okay, so I believe it was about 200,000, 250. Is that enough? That's not enough for a facility. That's gonna
modify it.
We're modernizing it. So we got to upgrade some electrical. We got to get some equipment out. The current construction class we have right now is a cabinetry one that makes skateboard decks. So they're doing a little mill work and that kind of stuff. But we feel like the impact to the community and jobs is going to be far more with a construction program than it is mill work and cabinetry. So we're just going to modify the current classroom, modernize the equipment, get the equipment out. We're going to capture an outdoor space that right now is the skateboard ramps where they built all those a few years ago. We're going to get rid of those, and this is where we hope to build the tiny houses and actually build an actual house on a small scale in that area right behind that. And it's also even protected because the warehouse actually blocks the view, so hopefully that people won't jump the fence and try to take our wood or anything. So,
great, fantastic. So would you speak on? Well, you can't speak on behalf of Ms. Dudo, can you?
Of course.
Okay, all right. So in the EIR, there was some unavoidable and significant factors. One being air quality. another being greenhouse gas, and another one being transportation. How does the school and maybe the parents and possibly the students feel about that being so close to their school?
Well, I think one of the things we've been capitalizing on in the Meade Valley area, which I hope to capitalize in the Paris area, we haven't started that yet, is the environmental justice funds that the state passed a while back, where when they're building these large buildings, they're supposed to be donating to parks and plants and trees and those kinds of things in order to combat the air quality of the additional trucks. So previous companies across the freeway have donated the hundreds of thousands of dollars towards garden projects for all our ag stuff, creating opportunities to get more plants in the ground, because that's how you're going to get the pollution out from the trucks. So they already, if you can see from the schematics, have a ton of vegetation that's already helping, but hopefully, and I already have them helping us with our garden, because we have to get our garden up and running. But if we can get more companies that come through these doors to start donating to those projects, then we're going to fix some of the issues with the trucks and the air quality.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I have a number of questions left. I don't know if somebody else wants to go in the meantime.
I'd rather you get your questions out
Okay,
of the way.
I'll
We'll
keep
move
going
on.
then. Okay. For Mr. Sachs, with your outreach has been great, especially with the residents in Village of Avalon. And I saw that you guys have over 100 letters of support, and then also the emails that we did receive. Were there any opposition letters, or is that maybe I should ask our city staff? Was there?
We received a letter from South Coast AQMD, but it was more regarding the modeling that was used for the project, which we clarified that, and we were able to address. Didn't bring up any additional environmental issues that haven't already been addressed in the EIR.
Okay, but how about from residents? Any residents send anything?
No.
Nothing, okay.
That was the only letter received regarding the EIR. All the other letters that we received are in support of the project.
Okay, thank you. And for Mr. Sachs, because I know you've been honest and very transparent, which is rare in this for a person like you standing there. Were there any people when you talked to the residents of the Village of Avalon? Have you? Did they have any concerns?
We didn't really hear any major concerns from them. No.
Okay.
The primary feedback we got from them was an enthusiasm for the retail and an enthusiasm for the road improvements, in particular the widening of Ramona. A lot of them, it sounds like, avoid Ramona to get on the freeway, and they kind of take a long way around because of the backup that occurs there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think that's all the questions I had. But
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And then we'll last thing for last comment. I know Mr. Guardado is here. He just spoke and made some great comments about being a product of the Annex High School. I do clearly remember that high school. So the fact that you're working in the union and as a great job now is just very impressive. Seeing where you came from to where you are now. So that's all the comments right now. Thank you.
Councilman Rabb?
Yes, just a few quick questions for the developer. Regarding Val Verde High School, what sort of noise mitigation efforts are you working with the district to mitigate the sound? Because I know, just as a comment, there's a warehouse, General Mills warehouse across the street that's on Brennan. We received a lot of complaints from the residents that they heard the beeps from the trucks. So what sort of mitigation efforts are you making for that? And then my second question, since I have you up there, is in terms of Val Verde High School, what is the view? Say, are there any classrooms or the fields? If you're out in either in the area between the school and the warehouse wall, what's the schematic, or how is it going to look? Is it going to be a 12-foot wall, 14-foot wall, and what sort of mitigation efforts are you making on that?
So to answer the first question, in terms of sound mitigation, the primary sound mitigation is walls. We have a wall which has specifically been designed as not just a view barrier, but as a sound barrier between the school and the project site for the full length of the property line. I believe it's a 8-foot high wall on a 2-foot high berm, so it gets to 10 feet. We also have walls around the other two, the Webster and Nevada sides of the project. Those, I believe, are 14 feet high. And the way the grade works is, in some sense, almost like the road or the building or the project site is sunken down a bit. So you have a berm and then a wall. So it's not a 14-foot high wall, but rather a berm and then a shorter wall, though I don't know exactly the height off the top of my head. So the truck courts of the building are facing east and west, or Nevada and Webster. So the direct truck noises, both circulation for beeps and engine noise, won't be going towards the school directly, and they'll be contained by the berm and the wall on either side of the project. And then the south side of the project that does sort of face the school is just auto parking. So that should be a sort of a lower noise generating, and there's no truck parking or truck access through that southern portion of it. Then additionally, this is actually something we got good feedback from staff and the school about trying to keep the trucks as far away from the school as possible. So we've designed the building. I think the nearest truck dock door is just under 400 feet from the school's property line. And that's, I know the city passed a 300-foot guidance to sensitive receptors. We've sort of pushed it even a bit further. So that simply just buffer of distance should mitigate sound. And then in terms of the visual that the classrooms will see, so there's actually a roughly 40-foot wide drainage channel that the school owns right now, but it's used as drainage infrastructure between the school and our property line. So there's not, the sound wall that I mentioned isn't right up against the school. It's set 40 feet back, maybe even a little bit further. It's actually got different dimensions as you go across. And so they're not right up against a wall. And then there's landscaping on both sides of that. And then you'll have the building setback, but it's on the other side of the auto parking. So it's not, again, like looming right over the school. And so you have it sort of stepped up. It doesn't really create, I believe, any shadow issues.
And then this question would be directed to Mr. Fung, and you could also chime in as well. I know our good neighbor policy mandates a certain number of trees per square foot. I just can't remember what it was. Can you remind me of that?
It's one per, I believe, 2,500, but this project came in before that requirement, but they're conditioned for one per 5,000.
Okay. Is there any way we can maybe work with the school district and the developer to ensure those extra trees are maybe planted around the perimeter of Valverde High School, just to kind of mitigate the carbon monoxide, the carbon effects of the project?
Yeah, definitely, we could do that.
Okay. And then one last question for the developer. I know when I spoke to you guys via Zoom last week, you indicated it was Broken Yoke. Broken Yoke and Denny's. Did Broken Yoke fall off and now it's more leaning toward Denny's with the PSA, or is it?
No, they're still involved. I didn't put them on there because it was added complexity to the talk. But so the Denny's site is one where Denny's corporate really wants to be there, and they're having trouble finding a franchisee to attach to it. So we, with the developer of that site, are working on it. But in case they aren't able to find a franchisee, there are two backup options. Broken Yoke is the primary backup option for a sit-down cafe. Another one is IHOP, but we've been pushing towards Broken Yoke because we believe it's a better brand.
Okay, thank you. And this is just my personal beliefs. It's not the city council or anybody else. I think Broken Yoke would be a better addition into that area. No harm on IHOP, no harm on Denny's. And,
Just saying.
Just saying, as a parish resident. But thank you for your time.
And that's great feedback, and it seems totally possible, so I appreciate that.
Councilwoman Rogers.
I just want to commend Dan and your team for doing a really outstanding job to bring this plan here to the council. You've addressed the flood issues that have plagued that area for way too long. You've worked with the school district to address their concerns and also to be a beneficial corporate sponsor of a program that benefit our youth that are interested in STEM programs. So I think that's definitely to be commended. You've addressed permanent job development. You've worked with the local unions. You've ensured that our Paris residents that work very diligently in all phases of union work, that they have the opportunity to have a project right here in their backyard so they can spend time with their families. You've signed contracts with various retail developers that are already in the making, so it's not this. It's something that's definite. You've also considered our needs as a city as far as the gap funding for our skills center. So all of those things really hit home for me, that you've done a great job in making this plan acceptable for the city council, and I'm happy to support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. First off, I'd like to also praise and commend the applicant for the responsive to feedback, your community outreach, working with our local unions, and so forth. The list goes on. One of the things that my colleague just touched on is your selection of commercial. And as you heard here today, we have received a lot of requests for nice sit-down restaurants, a little level up than at Denny's, if you will. Is there any consideration? I know you're pretty far along in that process, but is there any consideration on your end to reconsider some of the options? Because as was mentioned, we do have plenty of drive-ins, and we want our families to have more places for entertainment and more places to have a nice family meal. So is that something we could request of the applicant?
So I think there are two opportunities to keep working on that. One is actually on the site we were just talking about that doesn't quite have a firm retailer yet. We can work with the developer, or the master developer, and so the pad developer, to continue to explore other options. And then the other site is the one that we talked about with Councilmember Corona that we're developing. We have it slated for a shops building, but we can work with planning to see if it, and well, a shops building should be able to host a restaurant as well. And so we can, spend more time, our brokerage team is here as well, so they're hearing it live, but that we, could really search for an elevated dining option as well.
Right, just because I feel here in our city, we're still lacking a lot of services, entertainment, et cetera. So the fact that we're having duplicates of fast food restaurants who we haven't touched on yet aren't the healthiest options as well. So just something to consider if the applicant could continue working with something that would better suit the community's needs in that aspect. And then just another concern that I have is the rezone, and that's something that is always very prevalent. And I'm not sure who could answer this question, but in the environmental impact report, the impacts related to air quality, is there any amount of trees or any other mitigating factors that we can implement that would help alleviate that or get closer to meeting that?
We can defer that to our environmental consultant, Michael Brown, who's in the audience. He can come up and answer that question.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council members. With regards to the question, hopefully you can remember back a couple months ago when we did the air quality presentation for you. And what we're dealing with here is fixed thresholds of significance, numeric thresholds that are applied to every project regardless of size. And so when evaluating projects here in Paris, those thresholds are applied, no matter what. If it was just the commercial project or if it was just the gas station, those same thresholds would apply. This project is over those thresholds because it's a big project. We also looked at worst case scenario, in which case all of the heavy trucks from the warehouse facility, we took into account all the miles of them driving from the ports here. So these are the regional emissions. These are not the localized emissions. It's the total emissions with all the vehicles. So could you plant enough trees to get it below those thresholds? No, you cannot. The fact that it's over those thresholds is just a sign that it is a big project in relation to other projects that have come before you.
Okay.
There are a number of measures that are in the EIR that will reduce the emissions, but if there were things that we could do to get it below those specific thresholds, we would have put them in the EIR. Unfortunately, there just are not.
So you're telling me it's impossible to alleviate those GHG emissions, the air quality, the traffic? Just wanted to confirm.
It's impossible for this project unless you just want to make it a lot smaller, in which case then you're underutilizing the site.
Understood.
So it's only because we're not, it's not a threshold that moves with the size of the project. It's one threshold. It's a big project. So, but like I say, the document already does identify measures that are reducing it had it not been significant, if you will. So there's that benefit, but we cannot get it below those thresholds. If we could have, we would have.
Right. Thank you. You've answered my question. Thank you. Those are all my comments.
Okay, it's my turn. So redundancy is okay. Our city is a linear city. So I don't want people on my south end going to Menifee or any other cities to doing business when they can do business in our city. Classic example, I know it's a fast food, but I'm just giving you as an example. We have 3 Carl's Jr.'s, one in the south, one in the middle, one in the north. We've got 5, this will be our 5th Starbucks. Remember, Vente 3-pump white mocha. So, you know, and I'm not knocking our other cities, but I'm tired of our people having to go to other cities to go to these restaurants or shopping, whatever. We were last in the region to get an Aldi. And I think we've proven ourselves that we can do well with this. Our Aldi's doing good. Do we need 3? I don't know, but everybody, I think one of the developers or someone here mentioned, you know, the hot spot right now is Nuevo in Paris. Well, guess what? It's filling up. And this project is going to, I think is going to start the chain reaction of along Ramon Expressway for what we've been asking for, our constituents have been asking for. And when you say constituents, it's ourselves as well, because we live here in Paris. I have a wife that keeps bugging me why I can't shop up here on the north end. You know, it's not up to us. It's up to our developers and our retail friends that want to come to Paris, and they are coming. And this project is going to help, I think, expand Ramon Expressway. I don't need to talk about everything that the rest of the council has. It would just be redundant. The report that staff put together, the developer. I want to thank, first of all our speakers. And I know what it's like to commute. I commuted to Los Angeles for 8 years before I retired, so you're singing to the choir about that. We know about that. Patrick O'Reilly from OPR Communications is the developer's consultant. I mean, he put on a great show here, if you will, as well as the developer in making this sale, if you want to call it a sale, you know, go through, as a few others have mentioned, and even our planning commission for an outstanding project and homework that you guys did to really prove that this is going to be a great project. That's really all I had to say. Everything else has already been answered. And you read the staff report, you guys did an outstanding job, and this is a great project. I most definitely will support it. I do see Councilman Corona is back in the queue again.
Yeah, a couple questions. For Mr. Saxon, you know, Councilman Rabb brought up a good question. I was just kind of wanted to clarify with you. But you stated that some of the exterior walls are going to be at 14 feet, but the wall between this project and Valverde is at 10 feet. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, is there any reason for that?
So to really get the detail, I can bring up one of our design team, but part of it has to do with the different grades of the site. And the 14 feet, I believe, is measured from the base of the truck court on Webster, Nevada, up to the top of the wall. But there's actually a berm which brings it up to that. And there's like a different height of berm on the southern portion of the site. If you'd like to dig in further.
Let me help you, Dan. The answer to that is that it's only vehicles on the south side. The trucks are on the east and west.
Correct.
And planning always requires 14-foot walls, if I'm not mistaken, to hide these trucks. There aren't going to be no trucks on the south side between the site and the school.
Correct.
Yes, Mayor. In the school district, I forgot her name.
Stacy?
Stacy. At the Planning Commission, she specifically asked for it not to be 14 feet in height. She asked for it to be 10 feet or under, so that's one of the reasons why it was that height.
Okay, so she requested it?
That's
Yeah, that
correct.
height. Okay. And then I know that they are conditioned to have one tree per 5,000 square feet?
That's additional trees above and beyond the on-site landscaping. So the 1 per 5,000 is to fund additional city off-site park project or landscaping
Right.
off.
Similar to what we did for the 2,500?
Correct.
But, okay. But why are they doing 5,000 instead of 25? Because they got in before?
Yeah, they submit the applicant before the good neighbor guidelines.
Okay. Seeing how you guys are trying to come in here and be top notch, is there any request? Is there any way that you guys would step up and do the 2,500? Is that too much of an ask?
I think we're happy to meet the Good Neighbor guidelines. I actually had been my understanding that we were in compliance with the Good Neighbor guidelines, but Kenneth, we should work together to make sure that we are.
You are, because we were trying to implement things that were not, because you were submitted before the Good Neighbor guidelines, so you were not technically required to comply with those things, but you comply with almost like 99% of the things except for the 1 per 2,500s.
Okay, we're happy to add the trees.
So are you happy to make it 100% then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. I think that's it. But just once again, I want to reiterate what a pleasure it is be working with you. And just to clarify, you are a developer that isn't the type that comes and just offers campaign finances to the council and stuff like that, which I definitely respect. And it's just a pleasure to have you. In contrast to some of the ones, maybe like the one across the street, but thank you very much.
Thank you very
much.
much.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs.
All right, council, at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion. Yes. Councilman Rab?
30 seconds.
25, go.
Okay, I know we talked about this last time. If we can work, there's a wavy sidewalk on the side of the building on the Nevada, and I've made it abundantly clear, wavy sidewalks do not facilitate pedestrian access. If we can make that sidewalk straight, I'm ready to approve this project.
I like straight, but that's okay. All right, I have a motion by Councilman Rab. Oh, excuse me, mover is Councilwoman Rogers, second by Councilman Rab. And this is for the motion on the two resolutions and the first reading of the ordinance. Please call the vote.
Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
Is that a motion to approve the two resolutions and do the first reading of the ordinance? I understand that were some potential modifications that we wanted to consider. I just want to make sure that that's in the
That's
record.
what I just said, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Rogers, Corona, Rab, Vargas, yes. Nava, no.
Thank you. All right, thanks everybody for showing up. Appreciate it. If you want to sneak out now, we'll wait about a few minutes. Okay, good timing. Why don't we just go ahead and take a 5-minute break? Get some more coffee.
start breathing in here.
Hey, Mayor Vargas, you have a good evening. Okay.
All right, if everybody can take their places, please. Oh. All right, last minute, folks. I need you to take your seats. Item 12 is our business items, which does not require a public hearing. 12A is presentation of the police department's annual report, and this will be introduced by Deputy City Manager Ernie Reyna.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. For this particular item, we're going to bring up Lieutenant Wade Linton of the Riverside County Sheriff, as they do on an annual basis. He's going to make a presentation kind of doing the overview of the year-end wrap-up for the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. So, Mr. Lieutenant, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and staff. Tonight, we're going to, over the next 2 hours and 237 slides, we're going to go down.
Excellent.
I'm just kidding. He made me say that. We're glad I got a laugh out of it. Thanks. I appreciate it. We're going to talk about the contract and current staffing levels at the Parish Sheriff Station, our calls for service, the population and response times, community services, problem-oriented policing, and us moving forward. And we'll dabble in all the community events that took place this year or last year. Our current staffing level, we have 74 sworn deputies in all ranks, 37 non-sworn, for a total of 111. We give 170 patrol hours per day, and last year we had 54,232 calls for service or incidents. At current staff levels, we're at 0.9 or at 0.89 officers per 1,000 residents, estimating for 81,000 residents. Last year's budget was just over $22 million. We have 2 dedicated sergeants, 3 dedicated accident investigators with 1 commercial enforcement officer, 4 dedicated motor deputies, 6 dedicated special enforcement team or SET team deputies. That includes 2 gang deputies, 4 dedicated problem-oriented policing or POP deputies for quality of life incidents, 1 dedicated crime prevention and community service deputy, and 1 dedicated homeless outreach deputy, which she's at the back of the room right now. In the station, we have 10 community service officers, 3 sheriff service officers, 7 accounting staff, office staff, and 17 other dispatch, grants, text, personnel, and recruiting, for a total of 37 non-sworn support. Then getting into calls for service, population response times. Last year, as I said, we responded to 54,232 calls for service or incidents. And the estimated population of the city being roughly 81,000 people. That's based on 2021 and 2022 with a 1.5% growth estimate. Our response times for the station last year, 6.8 minutes for priority 1 calls, which is the most emergency, egregious calls. And then from there, priority 2, 17, a little over 17 minutes, priority 3, 35 minutes, and priority 4, 53 minutes. As you see from the previous years, the times have gone down, our response times. Our community service and crime prevention and hot team officers, we have 2 dedicated deputies and 1 community service officer, which runs those sections. The hot team handles, obviously, our homeless outreach and crime prevention, handles anything I ask them to do during the day. They work with CityNet, our business partners, code enforcement, Operation Safe Parks, where we patrol the parks, our ALPR, our automatic license plate readers. We have both Flock and Vigilant. Thank you. We recently acquired the Polaris Razor. We use that for our off-road vehicle patrols. We couple that with our traffic team and our special enforcement team to try to stop the off-road vehicles on city streets. And what we didn't have the year before, we had all last year, was the new ShotSpotter, which a couple of weeks ago we shared with you all the success that ShotSpotter has brought us. Our homeless outreach team, our homeless outreach deputy, Deputy Gutierrez, her and her partner, Deputy Tibbetts, who's a community officer, both reaching out to the homeless, cleaning up, using the new truck provided by the city to help the homeless, move their stuff, get it out of town, get it to where they need to go. Has been a deal breaker for them. Talking about giving back to our community, 2 of the standouts are Shop with a Cop and our National Night Out. With Shop with a Cop, we take recommendations from the schools in the surrounding area of kids that actually need presents, need help, and we invite them to go shopping at Walmart with many, many, many donations. In the middle there was a family who was down on their luck, had no Christmas tree, had no presents, and the Paris Sheriff Station basically supplied all of Christmas to them. Wonderful family. The picture up on the right there is one of our National Night Out pictures, the Razor, and we just let the kids climb on it and have fun, turn on the lights, hit the siren every once in a while. Volunteers at our station, we have 20 volunteers, 37 explorers, and 8 mounted posse members. And I checked, made sure, currently Paris Sheriff Station has the most explorers in the department. Our posse, or our explorers are bustling. They've got more and more coming every day. They're a great team. They're out there with us at every community event. You guys see them out there. Great. Problem-oriented policing, our POP, 4 dedicated deputies with 1 sergeant. They're handling everything from homeless to off-road vehicles to the calls to liquor stores or a problem with homeless. They're tackling every day. Whenever I get a telephone call or a text from you wonderful people, they're the ones I call to go out there and handle it immediately. Our traffic team has 4 motors, 3 accident investigators, 1 commercial enforcement officer, 1 traffic community service officer, and Sergeant Bracey leads that team. Some of the events, or most of the events that we at the Paris Station attended this year: National Night Out, the Shop with a Cop, the Pit Count, 9/11 Remembrance, Peace and Unity March, Tree Lighting Ceremony, Veterans Parade, Harvest Festival, Christmas Parade. I put celebrity appearances up there. I know Mark's coming from the fire department in a few minutes. He will not talk about a float or celebrity appearances. Obviously, we had the Grinch this year. We'll see, maybe they can come up with something next year for us. Job Shadow Day, graduations, and coffee with a cop. Our off-highway vehicle operations, we're gearing up to do more and more of these operations. We have one coming up in about a week or so to tow these vehicles once we can catch them on the streets. Our homeless outreach, we had over 400 outreach calls for service last year. City parks and surrounding areas, approximately 19 subjects were arrested for various warrant and drug charges. In the next couple of weeks, you'll see both my hot team and my set team out at the parks patrolling for an operation. We're always available assisting code enforcement. We had over 23 assistance calls, operations, which resulted in homeless camp cleanups, debris removal from the city, etc. And then our traffic safety operations with our DUI checkpoints, click or ticket, DUI saturation, commercial enforcement, and again, off-road vehicle patrols. Moving forward, you graciously gave us our approval to expand ShotSpotter. Our first expansion is going to be primarily the May Ranch area, hoping to take more and more guns and anyone who wants to shoot in our city to jail. Any questions? It was less than 2 hours. I apologize.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Councilman, do you have any questions? Councilman Reb? You didn't clear yourself from the last time? Okay.
Good presentation. Thank you, sir.
Councilman Corona?
Yes, great presentation. You know, the sheriffs in our community are very approachable and they come out to lots of events. One thing I've been seeing an issue and being part of the Parks and Rec Committee is the off-road vehicles. They're coming to the parks. They're having 40 people there. They destroy our parks, causing thousands of dollars in damage. And then so to see 17, I think if possible we could just kind of focus a little bit more on that. I'm sure our residents would appreciate it. Plus, at the same time, they're bringing 20 vehicles at a time on our roads, and it's kind of a bit nervous for our residents. They're having to do that. And then I definitely appreciate the focus on making our parks safer. Some of our parks seem to be a little hangout for some residents who aren't maybe doing the best of things. And parks should absolutely be a safe place. But thank you for everything else.
I appreciate it. Absolutely. We have both the off-road operations and the parks operations on the books. It's just when they come up, we'll be out there.
All right, that's it, Lieutenant. Thank you very much for a great presentation.
Thank you.
Please wait for us for 2 more hours and we'll have a conversation.
Yeah, I was going to say that was the fastest 2 hours ever.
All right, next up, let me find my 12C is, wait a minute. B, thank you. Presentation on the Fire Department's annual report. This will be introduced by our city manager, Ernie Reyna.
Yes, thanks again, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. So continuing on our night of public safety, next up we'll have Battalion Chief Mark Scoville of CAL FIRE. He'll make our presentation for us on this one. So, Mark.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, city staff. Today is, obviously, we're going over the annual report for the City of Paris in cooperation with the CAL FIRE Riverside County Fire Department. You guys have 2 stations in the City of Paris. This is your downtown station. I put that picture specifically in for the mayor, just to make sure that you saw, right, that you were there. And any other council member that would like to see your stations, that feel free to reach out and we'll take you guys and give you a tour. It'll be great. So this is the downtown station. The truck that you see in the background there, we are purchasing a new one that should be here in October, but it's not at the downtown station. It is at the North Paris station. The North Paris Station is located at Placentia and Redlands, between Redlands and Paris Boulevard, right behind the park. And this is what we do. This year, we had one significant incident in the city of Paris. It was a hazardous materials incident. It was a total shutdown of the 215 for 36 hours, multiple evacuations of residents and businesses within the city of Paris.
Unincorporated area, Chief.
It happened in the unincorporated area, but it did affect the city of Paris. Yes. The incident was mitigated with no injuries to first responders or civilians. And again, the press conference, and I got you in there, Mayor. That's for you. All right. Calls for service for 2022 for the city of Paris was 8,289, which is a 2.96% increase from the year before. Your downtown station for 2022 ran 4,438 calls for an average call of service of 12 calls per day. That is the 5th busiest company in all of Riverside County out of 100 fire stations.
Wow.
Your North Paris station for 2022 ran 4,255 calls for an average of 11.5 calls per day, which made them the 7th busiest company in all of Riverside County. As you can see, a breakdown of the calls. The majority of the calls are medical aids. The medical calls consume us for 6,292 of those calls. We had 7 commercial fires. That could have been just about anything that is a commercial-related facility. As far as our wildland fires, we had 59 in the city of Paris. And for residential fires, we had 34 in the city of Paris. And again, our commitment to the city of Paris is public safety. Thank you guys very much for your time and efforts.
I love it.
Any questions?
This is awesome. Let me switch my screens. Hold on.
Okay.
Councilman Corona?
Yes, with being so busy, these stations are so busy, is there a need in the near future for another station? To kind of divide the effort, the load?
Eventually.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something that we'll talk about. We do have a meeting at the Public Safety Committee on Thursday to talk about some stuff.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, just obviously keep us updated so that we can plan ahead because.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't want to overstep my bounds,
Okay,
but,
no, that's
but
fine.
yes.
Okay, appreciate it, thank you.
He's just upset he wasn't in one of the pictures.
Well, you
Anybody
should've came
else?
You should have come.
All right, Chief, you're off the hook. Thank you
Okay.
very much for your
Thanks, guys.
presentation. If they can only all be that quick, huh? All right, 12C is considered, wait a minute. Yes. Consideration and discussion regarding a proposed industrial warehouse / distribution facilities business license tax. This will be introduced by Deputy City Manager Ernie Reyna.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. So we're here before you today as a workshop really to receive direction from the City Council on options that we're presenting for this potential tax, for this warehouse tax. And so what we'll do is we'll go through a series of items that were contained within the staff report. We'll go give you some information on that, and then we have a recommendation at the end. And so first, I'd also like to know before I start, I have James Edison here from Wilden as well. He helped us prepare the financial information that went into this packet. So we'll provide you with those options, and then if there's any questions at the end, we'll be happy to take those questions and go from there. But first, what I want to do is provide you what a definition of a warehouse or distribution facility is. And this is a great example of what we're talking about when we discuss this particular tax. And what it is a business or a corporation that conducts or manages a business consisting primarily of receiving, temporarily storing, and subsequently distributing goods, wares, or merchandise of any kind to wholesalers or retailers. So now that we have that definition in mind, we can kind of go forward with what we're going to be looking at here, and that'll make more sense as we move forward. So just to give you a little bit of background of where we're standing and why we're here before you, You may recall that at the September 13th City Council meeting, Council gave direction to staff to move forward with looking at potential sources of revenue to mitigate some of this repairing and improving of the roads in and around the warehouse areas. So at the November 29th, 2022 meeting, staff came back to the City Council with Will Darren, and we basically narrowed it down to the business license tax. At that point, we said we'd come back, look at more options, and figure out where we're going to go to narrow it down to where that would finally be. And so really the reason why we're here again is to mitigate that cost of repairing and improving those roads around that area. And we know that the general fund cannot sustain this cost. We'll share with you what that cost is going to be on an annual basis, as well as the 30-year look forward on that, what that's going to be. So the general fund will need some assistance in paying for this, and that's why we're here right now. And so the revenue measure we're looking at is a business license tax, and if it's approved by voters, this can be a potential way that we can raise enough funds to ensure that we have enough money to fix those roads going forward. And so target revenue of how we got and what we have right now. So we'll take a look at that. So as I mentioned before, staff did consult with Wilden Financial. They help us formulate what we have inform us, this tax formula. So we figured out what that calculation is going to be. City Engineering provided some information on how much those marks will be for truck routes, collectors, and arterials. I'll show you what that amount is and how that plays into the tax calculation as well. Basically, what it said is that over a course of 30 years, we're going to need at least $120 million to maintain and fix those roads. Again, that's more than the general fund can handle, so we're looking for outside sources to raise that revenue to ensure we have that $4 million going forward. And so $4 million is the key, and I want to keep that in your mind. I'll keep bringing that number up, but that's what we're focused on, is $4 million a year. And so the process itself for the business license tax, what is it? So what we looked at is several things, but what this focuses on, this particular study and the way that we drafted this up, is looking at existing warehouses. And so with the existing warehouses and with the assistance of planning, we determined that there's currently 23.5 million square feet of existing warehouses in place right now that are included in the tax formula. And I'll show you what that looks like as well, but that's used as our denominator, the bottom portion of that. Again, knowing that our target revenue is $4 million, what we did is we took that $4 million and then divided that by the total square feet that we're using in our formula. So that's how we came up in the staff report. We noted 17.05, and that is if we included every single warehouse with all square footage, our tax rate would be 1.175, so 17 cents roughly a square foot. And what we're going to look at now, using the existing warehouses, we're going to give you 6 options to choose from with varying different sizes of warehouses that equate to varying different sizes of tax rates. And so we'll look at that next. And again, one thing I want to emphasize that I threw in here is your annual target revenue. That's what we're shooting for every year. We can get there in several different ways and several options, but the option again for you, in front of you again, is using existing warehouses. So if we were to look at all warehouses, that's 38 buildings that encompass the 23.5 million square feet. That would equate to your 17 cents. If we said, let's just limit that to 50,000 square feet or more, what that does is just drop off one building, basically, reduces the square footage by a little bit. And so what that does is it increases your tax rate, because the less buildings, the less square footage, the higher the rate that's going to be. So then that would increase your rate to 1.709, so slightly increased. If we say, let's just look at 100,000 and above, what that does is then drops off two buildings, get you down to 23.3, and your rate now goes up to 17 cents, 1722, so slightly higher. We can look and examine at 250 square feet and greater, and what that does is then it decreases our buildings from 38 down to 29. And so now we're looking at 22.2 square feet, 22.2 million square feet, and that increases our tax rate then up to 18 cents, 1809. And now if we look at 500,000 or greater, what that does is it reduces us down to 20 buildings at 18.8 million square feet, or a rate of 21 cents, 0.2136. And then finally, if we said, let's just take 1 million square feet and above, there's only 11 buildings that fall under that category with the existing warehouses, and that is 12.2 square feet, 12.2 million square feet, or 32 cents, 0.3271. Those are the varying degrees of tax rates that we're looking at right now, and I'll show you the recommendations as well. Using that particular formula, we want to show you what that would look like as a tax payment. So if you were a warehouse person looking to make the payment, what that would mean to you if you were making this payment. Under the first example, we're looking at all warehouses, If you were a building that has 50,000 square feet, you would multiply that by your tax rate of 0.1705. Your annual tax payment would be $8,525. Under that option where we're saying 50,000 square feet or greater, again, using a building of 50,000 square feet at a tax rate of 1,709, increases slightly to 8,545. If your warehouse has 100,000 square feet, we take that amount, multiply that by the tax rate, you're now up to 17,220. If you're a building that's 250,000 square feet, your annual tax payment would be 45,000, and so on and so forth. So you get up to 1 million square feet. If you're at 1 million square feet, your annual tax payment would be 327,000. Again, varying around different amounts of tax rates as well as the square footage of buildings. But this is kind of gives you a feel of what those tax payments would be at, going from all warehouses up to 1 million with the different tax rates included. So I hope that makes sense. I'll pause here to see if there's any questions.
Yeah, quick question.
Yes.
Okay, so say if we chose all warehouses, right? What would the tax rate be for a 1 million square footer?
Okay, so we would take we take 1 million and multiply by.
Oh, and then you multiply by, okay, I got it.
That's all you would do.
I got it. Never
Yeah,
mind.
so it would come out to whatever that is. So that's pretty straightforward, but we can calculate any amount you would like us to, but that's what that would be at. So in terms of timeline, what does that look like? And so today, we're here getting direction from the council to move forward. So we have a little bit of time, but not too much before the ordinance has to be approved by council. And Mr. City Attorney, correct me if I'm right, we have to have 2/3 of the city council approve the ordinance to go forward to the ballot, correct?
Just to clarify, it only requires a majority of council to send it to the voters, but since we're doing a special tax,
Yes.
that's the proposal, it'll require 2/3 vote of the voters to get it passed.
Yes. So we have a little bit of time to have that done and approved by ordinance, but it's got to be done no later than July 25th. So if this moves forward, then we can take care of that, go forward. If there's anything we need to change, bring back, we can do that. We have a little bit of time. So that ordinance has to be approved is by July 25th. In order to make it through the Riverside County Register of Voters, we have to have all necessary documentation to them for the ballot by August 11th of this year. And then finally, that special election would occur on November 7th. And at that point, since Mr. City Attorney mentioned that it is a special election, it would require 2/3 of the voters to approve the ballot measure, correct? Yes. And so that is what our timeline is looking at now. So that's where we're at. Cost, and as far as implementation of this tax, the cost itself is coming from the cost to put on the ballot, the special election itself. So we've contacted the Office of Register Voters, and they've indicated it'll cost us $105,000 to put this on the ballot for the November election. We'd also like to go out and seek the assistance of a public relations firm to ensure that this word got out to our citizens and residents that this is going on the ballot so they're aware of what it is. Because it is a special election that requires 2/3, we need to get out as much information as possible to ensure that everyone is aware of what's on the ballot, what it means. And so what we're looking at for these two costs is approximately $150,000 to make this go forward. And in terms of staff recommendation, what staff is recommending, based on the 6 options that we chose, staff is recommending that we select the option of 50,000 square foot and above to implement that business license tax, which would be at the 1,709 square foot. So I'm going to put that back up so you can take a look at that. And we're here. So this is the one that we're recommending, is the 50,000 square foot level and above, which includes 37 buildings of the current warehouses in place right now. So I'll stop right there, and that is my presentation. If there's any questions for myself or for
So, Ernie?
Yes.
Going with the 50,000, there's just one building that would drop off, is that correct?
Correct. That's
Is that
correct.
a little small building?
Yeah, we have a 45,000 square foot building. Yeah, it would just be one that falls off.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have my,
No.
James Edison's also here from Wilden, if you have any questions for myself or him.
Now, for clarification, for that one building, it's the first warehouse in our city, right?
I'll defer to Kenneth Unger.
One of the first?
It's one of the first few buildings, to my knowledge, yes.
Okay, for my colleagues, it's the first one that most of our friends have worked at.
Gotcha.
So it's definitely a warehouse, though. There's no question about it. It's a warehouse.
All right, if you can all let me run the meeting, I would appreciate it. Ernie, thank you for the
course.
presentation. Council, do you have any questions? Councilman Rabb?
Yes, what was the reasoning behind the 50,000 and not all warehousing?
I think it was a number, nice round number, kind of start at. I think 50,000. Anything underneath 50,000 really wouldn't be a warehouse. And Kenneth, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that was the mentality we're looking at.
Yes, we looked at, we surveyed all the buildings in the city, and 50,000 and under 10 not should be our warehouse, very few, and Starcrest was the only one, the one that's 45,000 was the only one that really would classify it as an industrial under 50,000 square feet.
Okay. And just to comment on a side, I think going with the 50,000 may give an incentive moving forward to make sure that we have smaller warehousing or smaller industrial developments in certain areas. So that just throwing it out there right now.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. And as far as I understand, the one warehouse we're talking about is only 45,000 square feet, so it's not too much of a difference. So I would encourage that we could move forward with the 45,000 square feet included. And just for my clarification, this only covers truck routes and collector streets, or it doesn't service the entire city?
Actually, it covers truck routes, streets, collectors, and arterials. It does not cover residential streets because trucks are not permitted on residential route streets.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. And then, so we're looking at square footage of industrial buildings, but what about other, for example, we mentioned like concrete manufacturers who do have plenty of truck traffic. Is that something that's being considered during this study? Or any type of business that does have heavy traffic loads?
I would defer to our attorney, but the definition is a very broad range. So if you didn't have a limit on square footage, we could include those, or that's the direction you can give us. So there are like one truck terminal that's going to open soon, and there'll be few up. There's maybe one or two others that will be in process. So if you give us direction to do that, we would incorporate that as part of the language, and I would defer to the city attorney for the rest of the discussion.
Ernie, if you...
There's also a cement truck company in our city, too.
Ernie, if you could go back to the
comment?
slide with the definition.
Yeah, sure.
City manager?
Yes, if I may, thank you, Mayor. Again, this is a workshop, and we can definitely come back with some revisions. From our last workshop, or when we first introduced this item, we were following sort of what the city of Redlands had just completed, and that was really just tailored for warehouse industrial distribution only. But we can certainly come back and examine those other uses.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and to add to that, I would like requests that we also bring in our our industry partners, and get some feedback from them as well. You know what I'm referring to. Help me with the, huh?
Building Industry Association?
But not BIA, that's for housing. NAOP. Or any other consultant teams that want to, I think there's someone that might be speaking tonight, if he is, but I see one person at least in there that I recognize. But I think it's only, it doesn't hurt to hear from them and get their feedback as well, too, so. Anyway, before we keep on, I think everybody's had a turn. Let me see if there is any public comment. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Bill Blankenship?
See what he tried to do? He just tried to trip me. See, we knew each other in high school, and I think that's from a long time ago. Apparently, I had it coming. My pleasure to be here. My name is Bill Blankenship, representing NAOP, Inland Empire Chapter. NAOP is the Commercial Industrial Association that represents the logistics industry. Honorable Mayor, honorable members of council and staff, thank you for the opportunity to talk this evening. In looking at this, and I testified at the last council meeting, one of the things that I asked for at that time was to look at all industrial uses in the city. That included those projects who have been approved and the projects that were in the approval pipeline, and I don't think we've done a calculation on that. Because when you look at those projects in the city, if we talk about the existing inventory, we're talking about 23,569,330 square feet. And projects that are under construction right now, there's another 7,848,843. And then projects that have been approved who have not been under construction yet is another 3,698,578 for a total of 11,547,400 421, that's a very large number. There are 4 cities in the Inland Empire that have similar taxes, if you will, that you folks are, similar to what you folks are looking at. That's the city of Redlands, who just had on the November ballot to re-up because they were running into their ceiling, so they were at about 5 cents a square foot. The city of Rialto, Fontana, and Ontario are all around 6 or 7 cents a square foot. So when I looked at those 3 cities, and then I looked at what is being proposed here tonight, 17.5, 17.9, depending on if you took in all warehouses or if you took what staff's recommendation is. I was wondering, why is that so high? Then I started doing the math, and I figured out there's a big difference, about 49% of the existing inventory that's not being taken in. And I believe this is a partnership that everybody is going to participate in. And if truck traffic is coming through the city and we're going to mitigate for that, then I think we should be looking at everybody, including grocery stores. That may be unpopular, but any building or any business that brings truck traffic into the city, I do believe should be analyzed. And Mayor Vargas, thank you so much for bringing up, the industry has not been brought to the table. And I think more importantly, all those folks who own warehouse buildings in your city, all those folks who've just been approved, all those folks who are under construction, they should be brought into a meeting, and the city and everybody should talk about this, why we're going forward with this, what the need is, and why we're going to bring this, or your folks are going to bring this to the voters. I'm not here to speak in opposition to the notion of a ballot measure. I'm not here to speak in opposition to the partnership. I have just great concerns that we haven't included everybody and that we're not making the industry part of the solution. So thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. And if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. But those are my comments for now.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
That is all.
Anybody at this time wishing to speak on this item? Okay, we're going to come on up, sir. Give us your name, address, social security.
Hi, Joshua Nagar. No socials tonight. Good to see everybody. Just as a guy that's interested in taxation in general, I was just wondering if the amount of applicable tax, folks changes throughout time. Say you have less warehouses or less folks from the category that get taxes, maybe you have more, and the goal remains static of $4 million a year. Is there a situation where if you pass a tax measure next year, 4 or 5 years down the road, you're not collecting $6 million a year or $8 million a year, and you've lost track of, hey, the goal was 4? So I guess the question would be, would the amount of taxes go down if the amount of warehouses or grocery stores or whatever went up? And that would be my only concern, because I guess 5, 10 years down the line, I'd be concerned that, $6 million, $8 million, $10 million a year is coming through. And maybe you're spending the 4 on roads, maybe you're not. And then some council far down the road just forgets why we started it. And now there's 70 warehouses or 80 applicable tax units. And now you're just taxing, I guess. So I was wondering if it just goes down if the tax group raises.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anybody else? All right. Anybody else, council, for discussion? Councilman Corona?
Yeah, just want to say thank you to the speakers. Do you have anything to add, Mr.?
No, I'm just coming
Okay,
forward.
but I do have a question for you. With the question that Mr. Nagar did ask, is there an adjuster, like as inflation increases, as the cost of damages to our roads increases? Is there an adjuster?
Potentially there could be. I mean, obviously, costs go up throughout the years, so, but I think if it goes in with this way under the ballot, I think it'd have to stay at that 4 million. I'm not sure if that's a legal thing that would stay that way, or if we can come back and readjust that. I'm not sure how that would look.
I can clarify that. So with respect to the rate, the whatever goes to the ballot is the rate. We can't change that. Obviously, if we include an inflationary adjustment, we'd include that as well. Now, when it comes to the estimated collected revenue, that's just an estimate. So, we can't predict real world conditions. We can do a pretty good guess, but we're not stuck with that number, basically, if that clarifies the question.
Okay. And then, when more warehouses come, as Mr. Blankenship did mention, will the rates go down per each warehouse, or will it always stay at that level? Because, with more warehouses are going to come more trucks and more damage to the roads.
Yeah. I think as more is added into the formula, if more square footage is added in, there's a potential for that amount to change. So it could go down, potentially. It just depends on how much is added in that
Well,
formula.
Just to clarify, if the rate stays at a static, let's say 17 cents per square
go
foot,
up.
it's going to go up as more square footage is added
As
in.
it should, because there's more trucks now.
Right.
Can you clarify that again? Is the rate's going to go up?
No, so just to clarify, so the rate is static. Let's assume for now we're not going to include an inflationary adjustment. So the rate stays static at 17 cents per square foot. As you add square footage, if it goes beyond what we're anticipating, then the amount collected will be higher than what we anticipated.
Oh, overall, not
Overall,
per.
correct,
Gotcha.
correct.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. I just want to clarify that. Okay.
Exactly.
And then to the comments that were just spoken, I did bring this up. I think other some of my colleagues were possibly in support. I don't want to speak for them, but the purpose of this is to help with the cost of the damages to our roads. Now, a few years ago, we spent some of our SB1 money, which is the gas tax that we all pay, that residents were paying, but it seems like we were focusing on the areas that were caused by the damage of the trucks. So here the average resident is going to the pump. They're having to pay extra for their gasoline, but they weren't getting their own roads fixed. With the residential roads, and so all that money seemed to be going towards the places where they have a large volume of trucks. So which is the concern of a lot of residents. It seems like we're spending extra money. Which I mean, if they're paying for the roads now, I think the residents would appreciate that they're doing it. And I would think that the warehouses are trying to be responsible in paying for the damages that they're causing. Now, I do disagree, though, that we should include grocery stores. Grocery stores has a need that benefits all the entire community. We absolutely need grocery stores. There's certain as the conversations happened earlier, there's some of the warehouses that maybe not have been in the best location, but at least they're paying for the damages that they are causing to the roads. I do. Want to say that it's important that we do have some kind of adjuster as the cost increases and stuff like that. We should, yeah. Okay. But yeah, I think we should have conversations with our with the people who this is going to impact. I don't know if that's going to affect the timetable of this, because I know we have to get this onto the ballot.
We have time. I mean,
all right.
Yeah, we can bring it back.
Okay.
certainly.
I mean, they just kind of hear them out, find out what their concerns are. Yeah. And I do want to, I think I maybe mentioned that, I can't remember, but make sure that we all include all warehouses, because the one that's 45,000, that's definitely a warehouse. So,
well, that's what we'll be giving the final direction on at the end of this. That was my notes I was writing down. I think the terminology is accelerator. To have an accelerator built in. Or not? Escalator.
Escalator would be the right
Yeah.
term, right.
But the question I would have is, does the escalator go up and down? Or can the language be written that it goes up or down based on the square footage?
So typically escalators are written, pegged on CPI, and
Right.
CPI is whatever it is at that time when we adjust it per, let's say,
So
fiscal
it's
year.
strictly for going up?
Right. We could say that it goes up, but it
I mean,
does go
just
down.
for argument's sake, there's 50 million square feet this year. 2 years down the road, we're down to 40 million square feet, hypothetically speaking. Could there be a mechanism that drops the cost down?
So if you reduce the square footage that's taxable in the city, let's say from year one to year two, then the revenue collected would be less.
Okay, so that's automatic because that's what we're collecting based on the square footage.
Correct,
anyway.
correct.
So if they close down for a year, there's nothing being collected out of that place.
Correct.
I mean, it's still owned by somebody, but it's not being used.
I just want to add that the business license tax would be payable at the time of a business license renewal.
Okay.
So if you are renewing your business license, you are subject to the tax. I also wanted to just shed some light on the CPI or the escalator. We currently have, I believe, one diffie that does have an escalator, but it was written in a way that it would never go anything lower than what the prior year was. It can increase, or it can just stay at the same rate. I wouldn't recommend going backwards.
Okay, well, I'm just throwing it out there for conversation. Mayor Potem, do you have questions?
Yes, just a quick question. So we confirmed that the business license renewal is what secures the city's payment. Are there any late fees involved? Let's say they start running behind on that? Or is that something we could
It's something
incorporate?
I think we could do. I don't know that we have that in place now. I'm not aware that we do.
Well, currently, they're just the standard late fee.
Right.
But we could, for example, for the cannabis tax, we did built in a special late
Right.
fee. That's something we can also look at this.
And that's something that I would recommend. Thank you.
Someone writing all these notes down? Okay.
I'm writing.
Councilman Rad, did you have another
Yes, just
comment?
throwing in my 2 cents, I support a CPI escalator. And would be open to, even if there is deflation, adjusting it downward if we enter into an 09, 2010 period, because I think it's fair. If your things are costing less, we shouldn't be not extorting, but, collecting more.
Exactly. Okay. Corona, you back in again?
Yeah, because you kind of brought up a good point, about possibly going down. And I'm trying to think about a scenario where that could possibly happen. But say if there's a warehouse that has to be vacant, they just don't have any tenant for a whole year, are they still required to pay for trucks not being driven?
I think the city manager answered that based
what
on a business permit.
So it's based on a business license, not?
Based on your business license renewal, again, we can tailor this in any manner where we can say if you show evidence of no occupancy for a year, you shall submit a request. We can write in so many ways.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we got to take a motion on this, right?
The council could take motion or just provide a consensus to
We're not,
provide
yeah, we're
direction.
not quite ready yet. We're still building the framework, so let's focus on an accelerator, what is that the word? Escalator.
Escalator tied to the CPI, yeah.
Going up or down?
Discussion
What
with
else?
the industry.
Huh? Yeah, go over them, please.
The direction the council would like us to include is to engage our industry partners.
Yes.
Add other potential facilities that also involve trucks and storage, not just limited to warehousing and distribution. Add a CPI escalator, including increases or decreases. Add a late fee added. And we will also analyze overall projects. This is something that came up. Well, that'll be part of our engagement with the partners. That's all I have those 4 items.
Good.
That's what I got.
Try to get that
Oh,
out.
and one more thing, and also include all warehouses. That's 5.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Thank you.
And just do your best to try to come back as soon as possible, so
Yes,
we
we
make sure
will.
to make that threshold time.
Yeah. One other point of clarification. Did we say no grocery stores? That wasn't something we included.
Well, one person said that. I think, have discussions with, come back with this, after you have a discussion with our business industry and stuff, and then,
I don't think we should have grocery stores.
that's 2 people. Who's the third?
I don't agree with that
You're a
either.
third?
I was 1, 2, 3.
And I don't agree with it either.
Okay, calm down, calm down. No groceries in there.
No groceries.
All right. Anything else, guys, before we move on?
I shop at Amazon more than the grocery store, so I don't know.
All right, thank you. You got enough on your plate, right? Okay. All right, we're on D. Consideration and discussion regarding a proposed regulatory ordinance authorizing the establishment and regulation of card rooms within the city of Paris and submission thereof to the city's voters. This will be introduced by our city manager, Mr. Wendell Bugtie.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Wendell Bugtie
Assistant
presenting
city
for staff.
manager.
Assistant
Pardon
city-
me, I just already promoted you.
City manager. This is the card room ordinance workshop, which was requested by the city council at the January 31st meeting. Just a little bit of background. The Gambling Control Act was approved by the state legislature to regulate card rooms in 1997. There were 2 sections in the act which created a moratorium on the expansion of card rooms and gambling. As of this year, January 1st, 2023, that moratorium expired. So there was a bill that extended the moratorium that didn't pass, which allowed and paved a new way for new applications for card rooms. So the first step, obviously, is to allow card rooms would be to establish a city ordinance. So this is the city ordinance workshop that you have in front of you. Just a little bit more background. There is an Assembly Bill 341 by Assemblymember James Ramos that we need to be looking at. If that does pass the legislature, that would invalidate any applications for new gambling licenses submitted in 2023. In addition, they would put a moratorium of 20 years to January 1st, 2043. So staff is closely monitoring AB 341 as we speak. As far as the process, should the council move forward with this tonight, this would go to the state for review. Once the state completes the review, the city council will then adopt a resolution sending it to the city voters for a November 2023 election. That cost to the city would be about $150,000. Another timeline would be each of the steps above must be completed by August 11, 2023, which is the county's deadline to submit for the measure. As far as the actual ordinance goes, we looked at surrounding jurisdictions that had card rooms, so Lake Elsinore, Clovis, Antioch, Chula Vista, and Commerce. We looked at number of tables, number of permits, taxes, zoning, land use permits, and age restrictions. So we kind of took all this and added it to our own ordinance. Our proposal tonight would be that as far as what we looked at from the previous cities would be to allow them in the commercial zones. This is what you have before you on the map. But we also wanted to give the council an option of industrial zone. There was mention at the January meeting that the council wanted to kind of entertain hotels with the card room. So hotels are allowed in the industrial zone. So we just wanted to kind of throw that out there for your consideration. So as far as the ordinance goes, the state requires 5 things. The first 5 are up there for the state requirements: number of card rooms or gambling establishments, hours of operation, games to be played, wagering limits, and numbers of tables in the ordinance. So our recommendation is on the right side. The other things that we'd mentioned was the zoning location. So commercial is the zoning location that we were requesting for the locations of the card rooms. But we also added a couple things related to the community. So one of them was the minimum distance requirement to residences. So we added a 1,000-foot buffer. In addition, we also had a 1,000-foot buffer for churches, parks, schools, and children-oriented uses. And we are requiring a conditional use permit if we do move forward with this. There are a couple other things: term limits, renewal periods, approval of the licenses, and what governing body, as well as approval of work permits. So that's all recommended as part of the ordinance that you see. With that, we recommend that the City Council provide direction with regards to this ordinance to submit the ordinance to the Bureau of Gambling Control for review, and to submit a proposed ordinance and all necessary documents for a November 2023 special election, given AB 341. So that concludes my staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Bucktie. Council, anybody have any? Let me open up public comment first, real quick, that way. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody in this time wishing to speak on this item? Okay, Council, anybody? Yes, you did a great job. Oh, there we go. Councilman Corona?
So for clarification, has this ever came to the voters of Paris before?
Not to my
similar?
knowledge. This has been since '97. There's been a moratorium on it.
I'm talking about before that.
I'm not aware of it.
Are anybody? I believe it came. Do we have any? Okay, well, I wonder if we could just get more information on that,
Sure,
because
we can do that.
speaking to my mother, because at that time I wasn't even legally able to vote, but apparently it did come and it did fail at that time. Oh, somebody. Oh, Ms. Giuliani, do you want to clarify with your expertise and knowledge?
Institutional knowledge.
I know that there was quite a bit of discussion regarding card rooms and a bingo hall in the city of Paris back 1994, 95, 96. I don't think it went on a ballot, though. I can research that and let you know.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Judy. For these card rooms, are there any way to limit or not limit the type of entertainment besides gambling that are going to be partaking at those?
Yeah, I mean, so this will come forward to the City Council as a CUP. So that would be something when they submit their application, the council can vote on and address those concerns at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Rabb?
Yes, just a comment. I would support including industrial areas for the card rooms, and just something to look at. I know the 1,000-foot buffer is based on our dispensaries. I think it was originally 600, and we increased it to 1,000. I know we include churches in that, and I'm a Christian, but some of these churches, somebody could just open up a random church in a storefront, so I don't want them to preclude a gambling enterprise.
Sure.
Based on that. So that's just something to consider.
All right, any, Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. Just for clarification, is there alcohol consumption?
I've seen, so Lake Elsinore, they have alcohol consumption. They would have to go through the appropriate permits with the ABC department. So that, again, that would be at the, at the review of at the city council when it comes forward for an approval or a denial.
Okay, thank you.
If I may, just to add to that, so currently alcohol is allowed with a conditional use permit depending on the type of use. So each type of use, for example, certain type of entertainment could be already regulated under the underlying zone. So, but because it is a conditional use permit, we can take a look at everything at the same time with alcohol, entertainment, or review. The cannabis would have its own separate permit if it's incidental. I don't think I've seen any cannabis, or we're aware of any cannabis dispensaries inside a card room, but that would be its own separate permit.
Yeah, from my understanding, as far as cannabis goes, I know we have some experts in here, but as far as cannabis goes, they are very strict when it comes to other uses that are involved with cannabis, and they have to go through that state process. So I can't answer that question, but I believe that they have to go through that process.
We're not talking about cannabis, so let's not even go there. If the applicant is talking about a hotel, possibly not applicant, but the process they want to do. So, on a conditional use permit, I mean, are you against alcohol being allowed? Is that one of the things?
No, I just was confused based on the readings.
Okay.
I thought it mentioned that there was no alcohol consumption.
So just hypothetically speaking, if you have a hotel, which I'm assuming would hopefully have a venue for,
Restaurant, dining.
no, I'm more than that, what? Conference, well, we don't have a facility here to hold conferences. Could a CUP say you can't, and I'm not saying I'm supporting them, but just hypothetically, you can't drink at the tables, but you can drink in the hotel, or it's the whole place itself?
So that would be, once the project is submitted, let's say with a hotel for a CUP, and then also a card room, should this move forward, that can be part of the application process and reviewed on their individual basis. So again, it really would just depend, and obviously they would have to comply with the rules of alcohol beverage control run by the state of California as far as where the locations of alcohol can be. So I would say we'd have to look at that on an individual basis.
And like you said, your research showed that other facilities nearby have alcohol anyway. I mean, that.
Yeah, so the closest one that we looked at when we did our research was the city of Lake Elsinore. They have a card room. They actually have a 90-room hotel, which has over 100 card games, as well as alcohol. They serve alcohol. They have a restaurant in there as well. So it is possible to do. It's just what the
Well,
city
it's kind of
council.
hand in hand, alcohol and gambling, and I mean, and the bottom line. Pardon me.
Well, we can set up a.
Yeah, I mean, it's for conversation. I mean, but I mean, it's and ultimately, it's not our decision anyway. It's going to be the voters. You put it out there to the voters. All right. Anybody else?
Yes.
Any Councilman Corona?
I do like the conversation. I think it's important because I don't think a lot of us have experience with this. What experience I have is walking into a casino in Temecula or walking into a casino in Las Vegas. And yeah, I mean, it just smells like cigarettes the whole way. But a situation like this, they would still have to adhere to California law where you can't smoke indoors, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and then so, I mean, I think in that logic, then probably cannabis would be off the table. But like, my concern is that it's going to be a free-for-all, no rules kind of situation. And I think that's what hopefully we don't want to have happen in our city, which I'm concerned about possibly having entertainment that might not be the most family friendly.
Sure.
Yeah. So I am concerned about that, and seeing how I do see alcohol at the gambling tables, it doesn't have to be, because obviously when someone's drinking and then gambling, they're maybe not making the best decisions with their with the finances of their family. So it is a good conversation. I look forward to having.
Sure.
That's it. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
I also just wanted to point out on the taxes column, the way the ordinance is written today, it sets aside the ability for the card room to do a community benefit agreement absent of a tax measure this year. The plan would be to bring back a tax measure the following year, since we have already one existing tax measure on the ballot proposed in November, which allows the city the ability to still be able to provide some kind of tax measure or through a benefit agreement.
All right, can you go back to the screen for the recommendation?
And one thing I want to add, Mayor, is this is all going to be contingent upon AB 341. So we're really working closely with our state legislature, our state lobbyists to look at, let me just go back to this one, to look at what's happening with that bill.
You're making me dizzy here, buddy.
Yeah, so what's happening with that bill? It went through the policy committee for the assembly and was approved unanimously. That had the support of the tribes and the card room gaming folks. So once we get closer to the August date, which is the August 11th, to put it on the ballot, we'll have a better idea, and speaking with our state lobbyists, a better idea if this thing is moving forward, because if it is, then, we got to be mindful of the city's finances and spending.
Correct. Can you go back to the slide that has the 5 points right there?
This one?
Yes. This is the state requirements.
You gotta be open.
And your recommend, well, it's again, yeah, that's, and the recommendation is on the right. So you're asking for direction at this point. So can we want to establish at least those 5 and agree to those or modify?
With the addition of industrial.
And whatever else, Council, we got to at least meet these 5 recommendations, and then whatever else you guys want to throw in. So the first one is one card room. Anybody object to that or want more?
I think we should open up to more. Like, are we gonna limit ourselves to one?
That's the recommendation from staff.
And the reason why with the one card room is that's what we saw in reviewing all the other cities. They only had one card room. So again, it's up to the council to decide if they want more or not.
I mean, if we're looking to get revenue out of this, I think to limit ourselves to one is maybe not working to that goal.
Is that a recommendation or was it state law?
This is our recommendation for the 5 requirements that state law requires that we have in our ordinance.
In other words, and the ordinance has to state how many are you allowing.
As well as the ballot. This will be on the ballot as well.
They're saying one. The state's not saying how many you can have.
It's not limited to
Right,
one, okay.
exactly. The recommendation is to have one because most cities, especially in our particular size, is just one. I mean, I'd hate to have a row of card rooms.
And we want it to pass on the ballot. So if we put too many, I think the voters wouldn't approve it.
Yeah. There's one objection to just one. Anybody else?
I'm open for a few more, up to about 5.
Well,
I don't.
It takes some of the
Well, I
warehousing
mean,
off the table.
for a city, it's very linear, like we've been saying, right? So it doesn't make sense just to have one hidden somewhere else. And with cannabis, we have,
And
it's not unlimited, but we do have multiple ones.
my issue is if we have one, it may become such a force in our city.
Monopoly.
It may become a monopoly, it may control the city. If we have multiple, they'll be vying. But that can also be an issue too, because they might be
Yes.
vying to be the predominant one or.
2?
I'm open
I'm
to
one.
3.
One?
I'm one.
I'm 1 too. You 1, 3?
I'm one.
There it is. 3 ones. Hours of operation, 24 hours, 7 days per week. That's the norm for gaming. I'm good with that.
Well, but that includes no alcohol after a certain hour, correct?
You have to follow those ABC rules on that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good on that?
So people gambling at 4 o'clock in the morning, we're good?
Yeah. Games to be played per state law, that's a given. Wagering limits, is that your recommendation or the state's?
That is our recommendation. The state doesn't have a recommendation for wagering limits. That's just a nice round number, as Ernie mentioned. But as far as what Lake Elsinore has a $600 maximum limit. Other casinos have 1,000. So it really is
a compromise.
Yeah.
Does it vary by games?
I'm not aware. I'm not sure if it varies by games.
Should, right?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even in the highest.
No matter which game, the maximum would be 1,000. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Right. The 1,000 was for blackjack when we called the city of Lake Elsinore.
Okay.
I had a question.
Or sorry, 600.
The 1,000, would that need to be in the actual ordinance, or could we put it as a resolution? Because I could see maybe like 20 years from now, 1,000 may not be, the council 20, 30 years from now may want to go up to 2,500, 5,000. I just don't want to be straitjacketed.
So to clarify, it'll have to be in the ordinance, and every time we make a change to the ordinance, we have to send it to the state for their approval.
And I think things like that only open up when there's no moratorium, right? Just like what's happening now. All right. 1,000, are we good? So how much, David?
Can we include, I'm sorry to interrupt, can we include an escalator as we were talking about here?
No, I don't think, not in this case.
Okay, because I feel like
Let's
at
let
one
the-
point
let
this
the
will be
attorney answer that
outdated.
question.
The law is silent on that point, so you could include an escalator, but obviously it'll have to get through the state. The
right.
state's review. So we can try it and see what they say.
All right, give a recommendation what you want. See if we get 3 thumbs up.
I opt for without 1,000 max bet with the potential to have an escalator.
Okay, that's fine. That's 3 thumbs forward. All right. Maximum number of tables permitted in each game, 100 tables maximum. I'm good with that. David's good.
Oh, I had a question regarding amount of players per table that was written in there, that there was no limits as to how many players on the table. Could we clarify that?
Yes, we can clarify that. Robert?
Well, it would literally be how many people can sit at the table to play the game. So they would be limited by physical space, essentially.
So there is some type of order.
The state regulates the games, so at a certain point, I would imagine per game, you'd only have so many people per game.
Well, it's like blackjack. If there's 7 tables, it's 7 people. If
That's
it's a
not
poker
what
table,
that's not what it was written in black and white. It said no maximum players per table. And my husband plays with his grandpa, and they get a little bit rowdy, and so I could only imagine what that would look like in real life.
All right, come back with that. Just document that.
Well, yeah, we'll
The question,
we'll look into that.
the question here, though, on the line is 100 up to 100. Maximum is 100 tables. Are we good with that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, good with that. All right, now the wish list or add-ons. Anybody? I think you mentioned to be in industrial areas as well. So you got that, right?
Yeah.
Light industrial. What was the other industrial? Commercial.
General industrial.
General
So there's light
industrial.
industrial and general industrial.
Okay.
Does not include business park.
Right.
I just want to clarify, I believe in the general industrial, in the specific plan up north, does not allow hotels, but we could include it only if attached to a card room.
Okay. Anybody else? Again, it's preliminary, guys, and we're still monitoring the state too. This could all crumble, so.
Right.
All right, anything else from us?
That's it.
All right, very good, thank you. All right,
Are we, like who, if we're allowing one, who gets it?
whoever puts in an application.
We have to have a lottery.
You got it, it's like, well,
Do a
yeah.
lottery?
I mean, like if we're allowing one, it's going to be a monopoly, like as Councilman Rab stated. But like, who decides who gets it? Because that's a powerful person right there.
So as the ordinance is currently drafted, it's essentially a proposal process, basically. So let's say 5 apply. City manager reviews the applications, goes through the merits of each one. You create what's called under the ordinance, it's called a merit list, which is a list of things that are beneficial to the city. And the city manager goes through all that and then makes a recommendation to city council, and city council makes the decision on that. And then after that, every year, I think it's Wendell, correct me if I'm wrong, is it every 5 years? Wendell? The permit term, is it 5 years?
Every 5 years.
So every 5 years, it's up for renewal, and again, they have to resubmit everything, go through the merit list process, and then the council would ultimately decide whether or not to renew the permit or not.
So the council decides?
Correct.
Who gets that one card room?
Correct, after reviewing the whole package and everything.
Okay. How do we keep it from, let's say not theoretically, I can see it happening, but say somebody gives, the most money to our campaign funds, and then
We're limited to $250
for what?
campaign funds.
Okay.
Well, that's when you
They can
vote
do
on something.
independent expenditures though, against the.
Yeah. Okay. So we're deciding on who gets that one card room?
Correct, there's a whole process set out in the ordinance for that.
Okay. Okay. All right. And we still haven't discussed what the community benefits package is?
Well, the community benefits agreement, it should cover, if you look on the ordinance, there's a whole list of merit list items in the ordinance that covers benefits to the city, such as economic benefits, employment opportunities for residents, outreach, a whole list of things, basically. And that'll be part of the equation that the council will consider in terms of what will be, which one they will choose, or the council will choose, essentially. Alternatively, obviously the ordinance is written this way. The council could always direct us to write it a different way as well.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
in the
you.
interest of time, that can all be brought back. We're not deciding anything tonight. We can always increase the number of card rooms. Yes.
Mayor, as part of the recommendation, we would bring this to the state with the recommendations that you have for them to review, and then we would come back to the council and provide comments and corrections or whatever that the state has, and bring it back to council while we're monitoring AB 341 as well.
So because of the strict, we don't know how long the state's going to take to review this. We're not going to bring this back. We're going straight to the state with this ordinance.
With what we're talked about tonight?
Yes.
All right.
Unless we bring it back, but we're, time
Yeah,
is
we
of
already
the
had a consensus on one. Do you want to try again for more?
I'm not going to try again right now. Are we going to discuss this
So
again?
they're moving forward then with one.
We can bring it back if you'd like.
Well, you just said right now you're going to the state.
That's our recommendation, that we move next to the state.
Okay, so my
we-
question now is, do you want to introduce more? Do you have a consensus for one? Do you want to try with your colleagues and get more?
I think my colleagues have already decided, but I just wanted to put it out there. I'm very concerned about that.
So how many do you want?
I'm not sure because I've never lived in a city that with card rooms, so I really don't know at this time. But I think maybe we could do more research and see which cities have just one and which cities have more than one.
Is that on
is that on the list already?
Yeah, all those cities that we provided only had one card room.
Every single one?
Yeah, let me pull it up.
So like, the concern I have is that we don't really have anything in our city where we only have one of something. We kind of spread out whether it comes to cannabis or anything else. But
Wow, is
go
that the
ahead.
best we can see?
Yeah, geez, it's more blurry than it was
I thought I
before.
needed my glasses.
Yeah, I think it's very clear though. They are at one though.
One card.
Where's that say?
See, on the left, one in italics.
Oh. There we go.
There we go. That's a lot better.
Yeah, they're all one.
Yeah, they are.
Okay. Good? All right. Anything else? Okay, thank you. All right, item 13 is council communications. Try to keep this brief. It's late, guys. Councilman Rogers, Councilwoman Rogers?
We did have the final meeting for WCE, and the JPA will be dissolved as of March 31st, the end
Great.
of this month.
Thank
And
you
that's
so
all I
much.
have.
Thank you. Councilman Rab?
Just want to wish everyone a happy Women's History Month, and due to the length of the meeting, that will be my comments for today.
Councilman Corona?
I too want to wish my colleagues and city manager and staff a wonderful Women's History Month. And then also if we could, I know we have upcoming rain pretty soon, but some of the yards are kind of a little unkept. So if we could maybe give them to like mid-April to kind of, ask code enforcement to kind of just go around, just kind of give them a little warning about, weeds and stuff like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
No comments for tonight, thank you.
Okay. Just real quick, I think 3 things. I met with the CEO from Kindred Hospital that's here in Paris. That's more like a long-time assistant or long-term
Assisted
care.
living.
Yeah. They just initiated a coat drive, and with the completion, they'll reconvene with me, and I'll bring staff in, something to do with, for our homeless population. And I'd like to have maybe engineering and staff relook at the truck route on Ramon Expressway. I thought it was brought up by our former engineer, but I don't know where we got dropped, but to allow our friends from the east, I guess, or as well, to access Ramon Expressway, Redlands to get up to Harley Knox to get to the freeway. Something to just look at and may come back to it with us as an option. We did have a meeting with our Public Safety Commission, and we had some of our neighboring farmers along Ramona that have their deliveries come back when we literally just cut them right off. So, okay, outside of that, next is City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. This Saturday, the Community Services is hosting the 3 Mile Take a Hike event at Cabian Park. That's on March 18th, begins at 8:30 a.m. with check-in at 8 a.m. Also, I'd like to congratulate the Community Services Department. They've been selected as the 2022 California Park and Recreation Society Award of Excellence recipient for the City of Paris Enchanted Hills Community Park. So congratulations. And lastly, there's still some openings available for the Breakfast with Bunny, scheduled for April 1st. For more information, visit the city's website. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, it brings us to item 15, our adjournment. We are officially adjourned at 9:18 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for your patience.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St.
everybody.
Patrick's Day.